Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. Stand in line for your fix. A triple shot of Mark is in the mix, serving you yet another round of fish and grits. October 3rd, 2017. How's it going for you, fellas?
Oh, it's going all right. It's a beautiful day. What are we doing? I thought we are doing the fantasy podcast today, son.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure I got sidetracked. I'm still over here shedding tears for my boy Davin Cook. He was on his way to being a top five back. Oh, I hope he recovers.
Yeah, that was a huge loss, man. That was one of the more impactful losses that we've seen over the weekend. How's it going for you today, Wilson?
I cannot complain, man. Enjoying another day. Trying to see what these young in the Bronx are going to do as far as this wild card game. Other than that, I have no worries. Great week, great weekend to look forward to. Got good old dreaded rivalry with the Seminoles and Hurricanes, and got some good old Packers versus Cowboys. So I am in hog heaven right about now.
Hey, I feel you 100%, man. Well, today we all gonna give our boys a shout out at Drafting Sleepers. They had reached out to us when the whole Hurricane Harvey situation happened, and we told them we was gonna be down for a little bit. So we all gonna be introducing them right back into the podcast business as usual. They still been posting all our good podcasts on there. We appreciate the support. So today's episode is brought to you from DraftingSleepers.com, which we are still giving all the best and most recent fantasy advice. But man, are y'all ready to jump into the news and notes from over the weekend?
Let's get it.
Man,
Most
outside of Odell dying and coming right back doing his best Paul Pierce impersonation, we're just gonna skip over him. Our boy Dalvin Cook was out. He tore that complete tear of the ACL. Why? He's gone
Man,
for the season, my man.
it's sad. It's sad to see him go, and that's really going to change that whole offense up because he was a dynamic player. And what I loved about Davin Cook is that boy looked like he was about to go for a touchdown run on the cool. If you go back and look at that play, he was about to juke one boy and take off.
Yeah, he was definitely about to take off, man. I'm just glad he didn't take the huge hit that we could have seen. That would have really,
My fantasy
yeah.
squad took a huge hit, but I hope he recovers.
And also, we seen Chris Carson, man, break his leg. Broke his leg, man. He's on IR. They say he may return, but I mean, there's no true position for him when he does come back.
That is true, and that backfield is very shaky.
Yeah, it definitely is, man.
indeed.
Who y'all more concerned about, Mariota or Carr at this point? Seen them both
Mm,
go down over the weekend.
Oh man, I don't know. They kind of both in the same boat because their team kind of will go stagnant without either one. But I would probably give it to Tennessee a little bit more. I'm more worried about Carr because his team solely relies on him from the running game to the receivers. But with Mariota, I think they can kind of function with the running game and get some things going and get a little play action working. But it's still shocking that both of those quarterbacks going down the same time once again with injuries.
I know, right? And rest of the season, would you take Odell Beckham or Julio Jones? We both seen them on the injury report this week.
I'm gonna let Marcus handle that one.
I'll take Jordy Nelson.
Oh, look at that Packers fan. Look at that. Never mind. I shouldn't have let him go. I knew that was
he,
coming out.
he just skipped right over it. He ain't even
Oh, my
here.
bad. My fault. Out of those two, I would probably take Odell because he's more prone to make more explosive plays from week to week, and his quarterback isn't regressing much like Julio's is.
Do you think it's man? I've
I watched Matt
seen
Ryan
the
throw 5 interceptions in the last 2 games. I would qualify that as regression.
I mean, I saw that, but even kind of messed up at the end of games. But then again, I saw Julio kind of take a regression because he's not explosive off the passes that he usually gets. He doesn't get a lot of that yards at the contact. And then with
But let's
Julio,
always understand with Julio, though, Julio's never been what we would call "quote unquote" explosive in the same regards that we would Odell Beckham.
Odell,
And
exactly,
it's
and
two
that's why I
different
took
kinds of
him.
it's two different kinds of receivers. With Julio, he maintains a high status because of the offense that they run and the fact that he's pretty consistent in the fact that he's not going to have a lot of drops and that they're going to force feed him the ball. He's going to get a ton of targets. He's going to get a ton of opportunities, albeit to this day still not in the red zone. But it's one of those things that kind of make us complacent as fantasy owners when we look at Julio because we think that there are certain things that's just automatic. It doesn't lend itself to big plays or big touchdowns or big touchdown totals. He's just really, really reliable. For a lot of people, Julio is their number one guy, but for me, in the pecking order, I would take Odell Beckham and Jordy Nelson over him. just off the simple fact that they get more opportunities to make more explosive plays. They get more opportunities to actually score touchdowns. It's a crime for somebody with Julio Jones' talent to not score more touchdowns than he does. It's really something that I don't understand, but I mean, it just is the way that it is in that system that they run.
And it's funny how you slid Jordy Nelson still in there. I caught that. I peep game.
Well, let me throw this stat in you for Jordy Nelson, since you think I'm a biased Packers fan.
No,
And
it's not a biased Packer. We just didn't ask about Jordy Nelson, and you
I mean,
love
if
to.
we talking about fantasy football, I'm gonna keep my people informed. I'm gonna let them know about the best wide receiver in fantasy football that nobody talks about. Last 36 games, he's got 32 touchdowns. 3 games this year, he's got 5 touchdowns. He's the Tom Brady of wide receivers in fantasy football right now. He's an automatic given to get at least 8 targets and a touchdown every single game this season.
If
It's
you watch
nobody
it,
in the league you can say that about.
well, if you watch enough football, then people should know that from last year he was hobbling out there on the field and still was getting touchdowns. So I don't
I
think that's
can't
ever
assume
been.
that these people are intelligent. I can't assume that these people know what they're doing. That's why they're
Well,
listening to it. They need that
this
good
is
guy.
true. This is true. Guide them, lead them to water.
Right on, right
Oh,
on. So if you had to take any running back situation, and you got to pick one, fellas, we all pick one. We
a team
got
situation?
Minnesota. Yeah, we got Minnesota. We
Oh
got the
boy.
Seahawks, and then we got Green Bay. All three of us gonna pick one of these running back situations to fix. I'll let y'all choose the first two.
Well, you know which one I'm picking, so
Well, you might as well go for Green Bay. Go for it, Wilson.
yeah, yeah, you know which one I'm picking.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's Green Bay by a mile. It's the
So,
easiest one and the best out of the
so
three
so who's the guy that you start this week for Green Bay?
for Green Bay right now. Honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and start Aaron Jones.
Okay.
Hmm.
Because I think that's going to be the guy that's going to get the majority of the workload. They like the fact that low center of gravity, smaller guy, harder to see behind that line. So he's got a little wiggle to him, and he can actually potentially make plays on that fast track, especially if Dallas is still shaky at linebacker with Sean Lee nursing that hamstring. Uh, and the way that they looked against the Rams, trying to stop the run, I like his chances. He's more of a traditional scat back for Green Bay. He's not a convert. He's not somebody that you're trying to teach the role to. But he also gives you a surprising talent to be able to run inside the tackles too. Now, with that being said, there's still a chance that, from what they say, Ty Montgomery might do like Jordy did last year in the playoffs and put on that flag jacket and try to give it a go. Uh, but I mean, we'll see. For me, I like him the best. I think that he'll have a good matchup, a favorable matchup going up against Dallas's front seven, who I really don't trust, especially if Sean Lee isn't out there. If Sean Lee isn't out there at that second level to make plays and get those cleanup tackles for Dallas, they're going to get killed.
And who were the other two backfields you were talking about, Demarcus?
We got the Seahawks and the Vikings left.
Well, I
Take it.
want to talk about the Vikings, but I also want to talk about the Cardinals. I want to give a little attention to the Cardinals. Looking at the Cardinals offense, it seems like they're going to go pass heavy and they're going to run through the sky with the ball. And in that case, Chris Johnson looks horrible, but Andre Ellington looks like a fantasy, I want to say, breakout all of a sudden because Carson Palmer is finally giving him the ball and giving him the attention that he should have been getting all these other years. That's one thing. And then number two, for the Vikings standpoint, you're going to have to go with Latavius Murray. He still had more carries than McKinnon. He also saw more volume than McKinnon and also was on the field more than McKinnon. But the thing is, you can't trust Jared McKinnon because we can never trust Jared McKinnon. If the Vikings quote unquote felt like he was a every down back, then they would have used him like that when Adrian Peterson went down or when Asiato was really not doing anything. So I would have to just take a flyer on the running back that they pay all the money to
Definitely, hey, 3 year, 15 mil. That's not a small chunk of change in the NFL,
at all.
especially a running back. If I had to roll with the Seahawks, man, right now this week I'd be starting Eddie Lacy. I will be giving him a chance. It looked like he got all the early down work. It looked like he's going to be the only healthy one unless they bring Rawls back to the active roster. If they do bring him back, it may be more of a timeshare, but they still going to have to work Rawls into it. So long term, if we talking long term, I'd still be looking at CJ Prosise because when he does come back, he's going to have a role in that offense. If you need somebody to start this week, I roll with Eddie Lacy.
Yeah, and then what's the other guy that everybody's been hyping up in the backfield for the Seattle? What's his name?
It's like CJ.
CJ something,
CJ
but they
Prosise?
no,
No, no,
not
no, no,
CJ
no, the
Proside.
other one.
The guy that they've been hyping up, that one that had a very explosive play that a lot of people are starting to really, I don't know. It's just like, what is his name? Is it Alex Collins?
No, it's
No.
not. No, it's JD. JD McKissick.
Miss Kizik, there you go. I don't know why everybody's going to run to the waiver
Yeah,
wire and pick him up. He had one
too
explosive
small.
play, but he's
Yeah.
too small for one thing. And then look, and the only reason why he got so much work is because Thomas Rawls was inactive. They're still going to go back to Thomas Rawls, and they're also going to run back to Eddie Lacy. And it's once again, CJ Procyse wasn't playing, so that's also going to factor into that. Me personally, I agree with you. Eddie Lacy actually looked good that game, and he is the guy
Hey,
that I would go for.
4.7 to carry. Hey, that's
He looked decent. He looked
yeah.
decent. And if Eddie Lacy ever wanted to get out of the doghouse, hey, the
Now
green light
this is
is
the week.
going.
Yeah, this is the week. I mean, division game. This is where you got to step up. I mean, you show up in a division game, the team is gonna remember like, hey, this is how we beat this team. You know. But we are gonna jump into the fishy and the gritty players from week 4. Who want to start off this week?
Go give it to Wilson, man. He's been on fire today.
All right, Wilson, fishy or gritty? Where you want to start at, bro?
I'll go gritty. My gritty quarterback of the week, I guess keeping with the theme so far today, would be one Aaron Rodgers. If you have to tell me that a guy would have to go through and play with 4 guards and a tackle because Green Bay's starting 5 top tackles were all out and hurt, uh, that he would still have running back problems, that he would still have wide receiver issues, but he would still come out and be efficient and throw 4 touchdowns. It's not too many quarterbacks in the league that you can chalk that up to. I don't really know how they keep doing it with their line problems, but they keep doing it. They keep finding a way. They're digging deep and they're surprising. And it all starts and begins with number 12. And it's not going to work out good for the rest of the league if they keep playing the way that they're playing and they actually get healthy, because by December, they're going to be pretty hard to deal with.
Hey, we can we can already tell. I mean, I feel like that defense hasn't even completely got rolling yet, so it's still room for improvement, especially if they start getting healthy. So this lit
Which
hat
is
this lit,
also scary because they're ranked top 10 in defense, which is
exactly
surprising as hell to me. But
exactly.
they're finding ways to do it.
All right, then who you got this week, Griff?
I got my boy Jameis Winston with the bounce back game of the week. And the reason why I give him a bounce back because I did not see him doing as well as he did against the Giants defense. That's one thing that the Giants have going for them is their defense. And for you to put up 332 yards and 3 touchdowns with 0 interceptions against that defense is really impressive to me. And I like him going forward if he continues to not make the boneheaded plays like he did with Minnesota, because against Minnesota, he had a decent game, but what always messes Jameis Winston up is him taking the extra mile and doing the boneheaded throws that cause interceptions. So once he correct that, I expect a big game from him against New England, who can't stop anybody, that made Cam Newton, that tricked everybody to think Cam Newton got it going on. But Jameis Winston gets the love. Jameis Winston gets the love this week.
Definitely. Hey, James did do his thing. He stepped up big time against those Giants, man. I loved everything he did this week. And the guy I went with definitely is gonna be Deshaun Watson. I mean, he did more than anyone imaginable in that
Mm-hmm.
Houston offense. Made them look spectacular. He got everybody involved. You can tell that Fuller coming back gave them a little bit more confidence, and them just taking those chunks downfield, creating those flags. Hey, that's expanding the offense, so it's only gonna get better from here. And man, I just loved everything he did this week. And if he on the waiver wire with the rushing upside alone, you gotta just snatch him up. I mean, if it either dead, if you just want to include him in a trade package, snatch him up. I mean, bye weeks are coming. Bye weeks are here. We got a lot of quarterbacks out this week. And then for the running back, I went with.
Hey, before you go to the running back right quick, DeMarcus, let me chime in and let me ask you something. Do you think, I think we brought this up, but as being a Texans fan and, Marcus being a Green Bay Packers fan, this is a question to both of y'all, honestly. Do you think both of those quarterbacks are similar in the way they play? Like, if you look at Deshaun Watson, he plays and he moves in a pocket like a Aaron Rodgers.
Hey,
Mm,
you know how Wilson gonna come at this.
Wilson, you still don't think it? And you know what? And you know what really showed me? And what it really showed me is when he was dancing, he did less rushing this week, and he kind of stayed in the pocket. And it's amazing to see because I actually watched that Green Bay game where Aaron Rodgers was dancing in the pocket, and he would avoid a lot of the pass rush coming this way because the offensive line has been shaky, and he's calm in the pocket and he's decisive. Same with Deshaun Watson. His O line breaks down, but he knows how to move around and elude the tackles. He sees the tackles coming while watching and surveying the field, looking for the best throw to make. He does make those rookie kind of throws with throwing into inherent passes and stuff like that. But Deshaun Watson, to me, has the mechanics like an Aaron Rodgers. And the reason why I can say that is there was one throw that he made off on the run to not DeAndre Hopkins, to Ellington, I want to say. And it was really impressive. And I said, that's very Aaron Rodgers. Like, I know you don't want nobody to be like your star boy, but I'm just trying to throw some out there. I guess Marcus says nothing to that.
Well, no, I was waiting to see if the Marcus was going to say something first.
Okay.
I didn't.
I mean, when it comes to it, what I see out of Deshaun is the patience to stay in the pocket. He makes the offensive line better. Can I compare him to Aaron Rodgers? Not yet, because Aaron Rodgers has elite vision and elite moves in the pocket. Sometimes you just can't get to him. He's a magician. I give him all respect in the hell. I still compare him more to Russell Wilson at this point. At this point. Like I said, because Aaron Rodgers is as elite as you can get in the pocket.
Well, the only reason why I didn't give it to Russell Wilson or give him that is for the simple fact is Russell Wilson in his first couple of years went to the run. The run was like his go-to or his fallback. Deshaun Watson doesn't go to the run as his fallback. Like it just.
Well, Russell didn't have a DeAndre Hopkins to throw to. Yeah, he had an up-and-coming Golden Tate.
He had a Golden Tate, a Doug Baldwin,
but they didn't use him. They didn't use him how they
Golden Tate and Doug Baldwin in Seattle are completely different from Golden Tate in Detroit right now and Doug Baldwin currently. It's not a fair assessment.
I still think he had golden hands.
It's not a fair assessment. But you can't fault Russell Wilson for that because he was the quarterback of a run-dominant team.
Yeah,
he didn't get those kinds of opportunities. They ran to set up everything.
Okay, and even on top of that, so we weren't even, and then people are scheming. There's again, I totally forgot about that. Team schemed to stop the run against Seattle, so also helped Russell Wilson with Deshaun Watson. They don't scheme to stop the run, Lamar Miller or Foreman. They're trying to stop the quarterback. And from what I see in the calmness is what I'm saying that he reminds me of Aaron Rodgers. That's the only reason why I'm saying on that one.
The talent is there. We always said the talent is there, but I don't think we will ever in our generation see a quarterback take on Nick Saban, Bill Belichick, and Dick LeBeau and put on those kind of performances ever in our lifetime. That's the most special thing about this kid because he's rewriting the books all over the place. And yes, I want to put him on the pedestal, but I still got to see a little bit more. I need to see how he's going to end the season. I need to see how he's going to perform this Sunday night. This is going to be the most vital game of all.
Sir, I agree.
This is going to be the most vital game. But as far as movement in the pocket, he makes the offensive line better. But if you get anybody off their launching point, any quarterback, that's when you disrupt them. You get Tom Brady off his launching point, disrupted. You get Peyton Manning off the launching point, disrupted. But when you can move around like a Alex Smith or Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, you adding a whole different element to the defense. And when you see those linebackers with those stiff hips get stuck, that's when you know you got them. Every time.
Yeah, I want to see what Wilson got to say.
For me, being that guy when it comes to sports, period. Like everybody loves having the great debate where they compare LeBron to Kobe or compare LeBron to Michael Jordan or compare this player to that player and stuff like that. I want Deshaun Watson to get a chance to be Deshaun Watson. I think it's kind of a backhanded disservice to compare him to somebody like an Aaron Rodgers at this point because you are almost guaranteed to set him up for failure. Aaron Rodgers a while to be Aaron Rodgers.
I don't think
you can sit and see flashes here and there, and they could say, "Well, oh, it reminds you of something that Aaron may do." But for me to sit and indulge this conversation and make like a comparison, like a real comparison between Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers, it's hard to do and be unbiased because the resumes are severely lopsided. I could go off of what I saw last season on Aaron Rodgers alone and say that Deshaun Watson is nowhere near that because Deshaun Watson is not going to pull off a run single-handedly to a conference championship game like an Aaron Rodgers. He don't have that kind of talent yet. He has
See,
potential.
I wouldn't see. That's where I think we
Talent.
get. That's what the only. This is the only thing I was talking about. See, this is that's why I didn't wasn't trying to get deep with this or compare each career or how the chemical makeup. But
But
I
when you
would
say
just
to compare two players, that's the thing that you're going to use when it comes to criteria. You're going to have to use what they do as not only just week to week, but from a total body of work. Especially when you're talking about mannerisms, mechanics, field vision, the ability to make plays and stuff like that. I mean, you can't really help but not go off of a total body of work type of perspective when it comes to that. And that's why I don't like making those kind of comparisons because it's far too young in his career. And I really don't want to compare him to anybody because I enjoy him being Deshaun Watson right now. I never seen Aaron Rodgers throw for 4 touchdowns and run for one as a rookie. Uh, that he has this unique and unto himself. I want to see what the total body of work for this entire season presents itself before I start making comparisons about where I think Deshaun Watson might be or what type of player I think Deshaun Watson may prove to be. It's really, really hard to do that with rookies through 4 games, and that's why I'm really hesitant when it comes to like really making comparisons. I've wanted to make a ton of comparisons when it came to my favorite Seminole Dalvin Cook, but I also understand it's one of those things where 4 games is 4 games. It's fun to do. It's one of those things that's kind of hard to resist because you see those different things like with a Kareem Hunt. It's so many different comparisons I want to make to the last dude that wore number 27 in Kansas City because a lot of the things that he does reminds me of some of the stuff that Larry Johnson used to do. But it's too young in his career. It's too young in the season. So I kind of stay away from those kinds of things. Not saying that it's right or wrong or good or bad or anything. It's just one of those things that for me personally, I don't like to do until I get a significant amount of time under the belt. More career defining or early career defining games like after next week, when we see him play against Kansas City, we'll have a lot more to talk about with Deshaun Watson, one way
Yeah,
or the other,
I
because we'll
respect
get to see those strides. And on the flip side of it, where we go through and we celebrate the things and we say, well, Nick Saban, Dick LeBeau, Bill Belichick, great. But if I want to be Salty Susie, Uncle Buzz, as it was discussed,
Come
it.
Buzz Lightyear. Here you
also
go.
say that Deshaun Watson did that against the 32nd and 29th ranked defenses in the NFL. Um, it
That's
goes
true.
both ways. You know what I'm saying? But right now, I'm having too much fun enjoying the weekly surprises that I get from Deshaun Watson to want to kind of put him in a lane or in a particular box yet. So
Okay.
I'm going to decline the comparison, and I'm just going to say right now he looks like an awesome Deshaun Watson.
All right, I can respect that.
I'm with
So who
that.
you got? Who you say your gritty was running back,
My gritty
Demarcus?
running back is going to be Duke Johnson. It looked like he has full control of this offense. Not the carry game, but they look for him, especially in the middle. He has the slot on control. It looked like
Shit,
when
he
he,
the slot receiver. He
yeah,
the
he the slot receiver who also getting 5 to 10
yeah.
carries. He's pretty much Randall Cobb on steroids.
I was just about to say that. Like, hey, Green Bay, this is what y'all
Yeah,
should be doing with Randall. Just
yeah,
FYI. Just FYI.
100%. So hey, if you need a running back, if he's out there on the waivers, if you want to try to trade for him, it's his backfield, not Crowell's. That's clear at this point.
And then
Yeah, and
my
especially in PPR leagues, he's
Yeah,
oh,
golden
he's
in
killing it.
PPR.
He's killing it in PPR. But this is what we've been expecting for Duke Johnson over the past couple of years, and they just finally woke up one day and was like, "Hey,
Yeah,
we should use him like we use Geo." Oh, okay. So
true.
hopefully, I'm hoping this gonna open things up for Crowell because right now he's looking like the biggest bust of this year. But I'm hoping that this opens
Yeah,
the field up a little bit for Crowell so he can get things working. But we'll see. But my gritty player is the person that once again I think that me and Marcus were discussing back in preseason when we did the little highlights when we did divisional breakdowns is my boy Powell, and it just goes to show you that Matt Forte needs to go ahead and retire and let Bilal Powell take over as a starting running back. He has the workings of to be a really good running back, if not, I want to say maybe a top 10 running back with the catching and his pass blocking and his running style. So I want to give him some hype. He did a great job, 21 carries, 163 yards rushing, and that beautiful long touchdown that he did that I thought was pretty impressive, even though I thought he was down. And he's playing Cleveland this week, so you know, start him up.
yes, sir.
big dogs got to eat. I completely agree. My gritty tailback is going to be one Le'Veon Bell. Uh, Starting to bounce back, starting to get his legs up under him. starting to be that dual threat that everybody envisioned him to be at the beginning of the season. 180 yards total offense, 2 touchdowns. Starting to look like that workhorse again, starting to round into form. I think it only gets better from here for him. Good to see Le'Veon Bell be Le'Veon Bell, get a little bit of normalcy in a topsy-turvy start to the season.
Yeah, he does look good. I mean, he's getting that workload. He's starting to come right into form, and I'm really liking the
Super
Steelers.
Bowl for him. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. I
Oh
was just going to
yeah.
give
Yeah.
them some credit, but now
Yeah.
I take it back. Give them. Where's
Oh,
Martavis
man.
Bryant? I didn't see him.
Hey,
Oh,
he
my
chilling.
God.
Hey, he led the team in receiving, didn't he?
Yeah.
Of course he did. That's why Antonio Brown was throwing temper tantrums on the
He said,
sideline.
not kicking Gatorade coolest, not Martavis Bryant. It's a road game. I'm
I'm
supposed to be
not
the
giving
star.
up my targets to somebody named Martavis. I'm telling you right now.
Boy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Worm head looking. No.
Oh, all right, man. Who your
Who you
receiver?
got for wide receiver, Wilson?
My gritty wide receiver, just press the repeat button, man. The Tom Brady of wide receivers in fantasy football. That would be one Jordy Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
He is a wonderful conundrum because he has yet to have a 100-yard receiving game this season, but leads the NFL in touchdowns. He's scored in every game that he's played so far this season. And dating back, like I said, last 36 games, he scored 32 touchdowns. Going back to last season, he's the only wide receiver in fantasy football to score in at least 12 games uh, last year. He's pretty much an automatic and a given when it comes to being on the field at the same time with Aaron Rodgers. If they're anywhere inside the 50, uh, he's going to get some love. He's going to get some action. He always gets at least 7 targets in every game this season. He's super reliable, and I know that he's super excited about playing a less than spectacular Dallas secondary this weekend.
Oh, well, you giving love to Jordy Nelson, which is wonderful. But I'm going to give some love to the Walmart version of Jordy Nelson, and that is
Great
one
value.
Chris Hogan. Oh, yes, the
Great
great
value.
value.
Great
Great
value.
value.
Great
The
value,
great
Jordy.
value, Jordy. Chris Hogan. Chris
What are
Hogan
you
won.
talking about, brother?
And what's amazing about Chris Hogan is he's found new life with Tom Brady, and he's starting to become the
Oh, the
like.
sweetest life.
Oh man, he's starting to flourish, and he's loving it. And he's starting to get like third. I want to say third receiver kind of coverage. So that's why he takes advantage of that. He averages like 8 to 9 targets a game this year, and it's awesome to see that he's going on a touchdown streak. And let's look at his schedule going forward: Tampa Bay,
Mm,
checkmate. The Jets,
mm,
checkmate. Atlanta,
mm.
checkmate. The Chargers, checkmate. So his schedule looks so pretty going forward, and I want to give some love to Chris Hogan, who's been
Now,
the touchdown magnet, a la Eric Decker and Jordy Nelson.
All the white receivers
now,
getting love right
what were those 3 games he got coming up next?
Tampa Bay, the
now. Uh-oh.
Jets,
Uh-huh.
Atlanta, and the Chargers.
Hmm.
You think there's something fishy about that? Do
Only
we
thing that
smell
I think
good?
of is fishy. Only thing that I think of is fishy when it comes to that is while they're not the best of defenses that he has to face coming up, he is going to face some pretty interesting corners.
See, that's the thing about like Jordy Nelson. They never assigned the top corner to Jordy or neither the second because they usually kind of
Oh
throw the
no.
safety.
And see, that's the part where I say is interesting. I know they're not going to give the top corner to Hogan,
Oh yeah,
but
that's
those
Cook's all day.
secondaries actually have those secondaries have actually some pretty decent second and third corners on them. That's
Mm.
why I said it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Uh, but no. They're never going to put anybody that puts a number 1 corner on a Hogan and Brandon Cooks is actually on the field. Uh, needs to be fired immediately. Yeah,
It's just amazing. If
there's
you
no
ever
point in that whatsoever.
I watched the Patriots game, and I encourage everybody to watch this Thursday night game and just pay attention to the Patriots offense. So you have Brandon Cooks who usually grabs, he gets the safety sometimes, or maybe he gets the DB, and then you have Gronk there, and then you have Julian Edelman that everybody wants to check, and then here goes Hogan. If you ever watch, Hogan is just always just skipping down the field, just wide open. And if Tom Brady gives him the time, I'm telling you, he gets. It's amazing to see how open Hogan is the majority of the time. It's pretty impressive, and I noticed that against last game when they played Carolina. It's Tom Brady couldn't get the ball to Hogan, or he would have had a way more better numbers.
Yeah, he did miss a couple of them. Yeah, he missed a couple touchdowns.
Oh yeah.
Well, the guy I got as my gritty receiver is going to be Dante Moncrief. It may not be this week play, but the reason is his quarterback's coming back, and we already know about his touchdown numbers. So anytime Andrew Luck is in the lineup, you damn near can pencil in Moncrief for a touchdown if they both playing. So if you just need a pickup for the future, that's the receiver I'm looking at to be good down the line. The tight end that I got is going to be Evan Ingram, man. The targets are coming. It seems like he's putting up the production that everybody else missing out. If you talk about Odell, Brandon Marshall, Sterling Shepard, or if Vereen ain't doing his job, Evan Ingram seems like the most reliable target that he got right now in New York. So that's my gritty tight end for this week.
Yeah, he's starting to average what 10 targets. I want to say.
Yeah, like eight to 10 targets a week now. So it's
I was
increased every week. So hey, anytime anytime the opportunity increases, you got to hop on top of it early.
I'm gonna go ahead and it's 2 weeks in a row this man has made the gritty tight end, and that's my boy Charles Clay, who I did hype up in the preseason. So if you were paying attention, you are enjoying fantasy heaven as you have Charles Clay racking up what is this 5 catches for 112 yards. The man didn't even score a touchdown and still gave you 16 points. That's love. That's love right there. And it's waiting until LaShawn McCoy gets going. Ooh, Charles Clay's gonna be licking them chops, getting them touchdowns. Let's go, Charles Clay.
Definitely, definitely. Who you got
Who you
over there,
got, Wilson?
Wilson?
For me, my gritty tight ends are going to be the tight end Cameron Brate and OJ Howard for Tampa Bay as a tandem. Played a big part in Jameis Winston getting his mojo back. Early big play, splash play by OJ taking the deep pass. I don't know what in the blue hell the Giants were
No
scheming
coverage.
Between his
or
two
doing, like
national championship games and this
ass
game,
naked. That dude was ass naked, wide open, nobody within 30 yards. How does that happen? Somebody needs to be fired. Uh,
Exactly.
and Cameron Brake coming along as a Jason Witten-esque type safety blanket. I like that kid's game a lot. It's nothing really flashy about it. It's nothing that really pops out to you, but it's extremely consistent if he's being fed the ball.
Respect.
Uh, that makes for a very good Gronk slash God rest his soul, Aaron Hernandez type dual tight end combo in Tampa Bay. You got your splash guy, you got your chain mover, but you both,
they
you
need to
know,
call. They need to call Andy Reid, see if they can get a couple of those plays.
I
Them
mean,
shovel
somebody
passes.
give OJ a shovel pass,
Give
something.
me them shovel
Jesus.
passes. Hey, they tried one last night. Got them caught up. They got too carried
Damn
away with it.
shovel
They starting
pass.
the game planning
The
now.
Redskins like, stop that.
Like,
You
nah,
ain't
we should
not
eat this.
today.
Hell no, we gonna pick
Hey,
this shit up.
Washington said if anybody beats us, it's gonna be Justin Houston late. It's not gonna be Travis Kelsey with
Boy, if you
the
bet it on
shovel
that,
pass.
if you bet on that over under, boy. Whew.
Ooh, I know you mad.
Posted lost on that trap like a big dog. Somebody committed suicide over that damn spread last night.
Yeah, man. I saw him. Justin Houston pick that up and run. I said, "Oh man, somebody
I said,
catch."
Last play of the game, end of the game, like literally, you on your way to your bookie trying to collect your scratch, and on the
20 to
way,
29.
Justin, yeah, you know what I'm saying? What? Wait, what? What?
What happened?
Oh, it was
What?
23.
What?
Nah, man,
Yeah.
they scored a touchdown. Nah, I know they
No, no,
did.
no,
Let
no,
me
no, no. I won, man. Give me my money. You what? I lost.
So who you got for your fishy quarterback? Go ahead and start it off, Wilson.
My fishy quarterback is the same as my gritty quarterback, and that would be
Oh,
one Aaron Rodgers.
oh,
There's a
Interesting little thing for folks that don't dig a little into it. Aaron Rodgers has played the Cowboys in his career in the regular season, I believe, 6 times. Aaron Rodgers has never thrown for 300 yards against the Cowboys in the regular season. Aaron Rodgers in 6 games only has 8 touchdowns against the Cowboys in the regular season. It's not that he's going to play bad. It's not that they're going to lose. It's just that from fantasy standpoint, he doesn't put up much numbers against the Cowboys. It's just been one of those things with him historically. I can see where that might present itself again. Green Bay can take advantage like St. Louis did, or I'm sorry, I keep calling them St. Louis. The LA
L.A.
Rams
Rams.
did, running the ball early and often and controlling that clock. I can see Aaron Rodgers having a game similar to what he had against Chicago. Maybe 180, 200 yards, maybe a touchdown or two at the most. I don't really see him, barring them just opening up the floodgates back there in that secondary, lighting them up for high yardage totals. I mean, ironically, the glimpses that you get of Aaron Rodgers when it comes to the Cowboys is playoff games. And in the playoffs, he's never not thrown for 300 yards. and done damage against him in the 2 playoff games that he's played. So it's just interesting the way that that flips. But I look at him as being a fishy start this week because of the simple fact that traditionally he doesn't do well from a fantasy standpoint starting against the Cowboys.
You know, it was amazing to hear. I remember we were talking. I think they played. Who did they play? The Cincinnati. I believe that's who they played. When you had said that Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers is normally has not had a great fantasy type of game against the Bengals, and he has struggled against the Bengals. I remember you saying something like that, and I believe that we knocked on your door and we said, "Mr. Wilson, I'd like to tell you something. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to show out, and he's going to show up." And that's what he did. 313 yards and 3 touchdowns against Cincinnati. And I like to say Sean Lee won't be there. And I'm sure that Ty Montgomery's not going to play. I like to pencil him in for 300 plus yards and 3 touchdowns this weekend. He's going to light they asses up. And I'm going to enjoy it every minute of it.
Works for me.
So yeah, so I just want to give a little love to Aaron Rodgers because I saw something with that Dallas team. They have a lot of fight in them, and even though that the defense tries to hold up, it will not hold up, and Aaron Rodgers will take advantage of that. And Devontae Adams, if he plays this week, I expect a big bounce back game for him because he's going to pick up where he left off in the touchdown department, and I expect him to throw up at least a good 80 or 90 yards for the young man. But my fishy quarterback is the man that just had a breakout, and everybody's crowning as the return of the MVP, and that's one Cameron Newton who raised his black fist in the air, and I'm going to nod my head and
It was a black fist?
oh, I didn't know what hand that was. He raised some type of hand up in the air.
Oh, I didn't know if he still considered himself black or whatever. I don't know.
We don't know what Cam. Cam flows like his outfits. He changes like his outfits. I don't know what changes more, his moods or his outfits. And I like to say that Mr. Cameron Newton has not shown up, and I think that is a trap. If you can get major value for Cam Newton, I think you need to go ahead and try to trade him super high. What'd you say?
Wilson need to trade him.
I mean, I would trade high on Cam Newton right now because I'm gonna be honest with you. The Patriots defense, I don't know what's going on. They look horrible.
No Dante Hightower.
We know what's going on. Their defense is ranked dead last in the league. That's what's going on.
Tired.
And I just want everybody to know. I think New Orleans has a better defense than a lot of people give them credit for. But Cam Newton stunk. 3 interceptions against New Orleans, and that was kind of a red flag to me. And he's also playing Detroit, who is in the top 5 ranked defense. He also is playing Philadelphia, who I think is going that pass rush is going to have a field day with Cameron Newton, and he also is going to be playing Tampa Bay coming up. So I have him in my fishy category. If you can sell high on him, I would. I do not. Some people believe that he's had to get into form, but me personally, I think he's going to go back into the inconsistency that he's displayed over his career, and I do not trust Cam Newton, and I would sell high on him.
No doubt, no doubt. Yes, it's hard to trust Cam Newton. I know he put on the one-league performance, but he might as well just button that shirt back up. I don't think Superman back yet.
Yeah, he's still Clark.
Yeah.
He's wearing glasses. I still see you, Pimpin.
But the fishy quarterback I got is Matt Ryan. I know he's on the bye week, so nobody's starting him right now. But between his receivers going down and the fact that he's ranked 23rd in quarterbacks, and that's even in 6 touchdown leagues, he ain't even scored 20 points yet. So I don't trust him right now. It feels like he's become a game manager, and they just trying to do everything they can to squeak out those victories. And I guess they expect to win the shootout sometime down the year, but I'm just not seeing anything positive with this offense right now. I mean, outside the running game, the passing game just looked like trash, throwing way too many interceptions. So he's definitely regressed, but they still 3-1. So what can I say? But I wouldn't start him in fantasy land.
And then interceptions that's really Matt Ryan, if you want to be honest. And then I don't understand why going into this year they were going to say that they wanted to get Julio Jones more looks in the red zone, and I still don't think he gets any looks in the red zone. And I think it's quite baffling, like how Marcus was talking about earlier, how Julio Jones could be this big guy that gets no red zone targets. You don't have no problem with Megatron back in the day, your boy, what's Mike Evans getting any targets, Dez getting red zone targets. Julio's the only person. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense.
None at all, man. None at all. But the running back that I got as the fishy guy is going to be Marshawn Lynch. I mean, I hate to put him on this list, but I mean, it's just under 10 carries the last couple of games, and Running game not getting any better. It look like the line is all giving up. I mean, they look like they ready to go Las Vegas right now. It look like they don't even want to be in Oakland. So this team is heading in the opposite direction, and that running game is nowhere to be found. So it's just hard to trust Lynch right now. If you can get rid of him, get rid of him.
Yeah, although I think he'll probably get an uptick by default in the number of touches and involvement in the offense. Now that Carr is down, they got to go with EJ Manuel at quarterback.
Hey, where's Connor Cook? Am I missing something? Did they let him go?
Connor
Or?
Cook got beat out for the second spot by EJ Manuel. He's the
Connor
third.
Cook.
Wow, Connor.
Who's
Connor
Connor
Cook,
Cook?
the QB from Michigan State
Yeah,
that they
Michigan State.
drafted.
Oh, I
Go ahead.
forgot about him. Man, that just shows
Yeah,
how
because EJ Manuel beat him out.
how
That's
did EJ Manuel beat him out? That's garbage.
DJ Manuel wasn't necessarily a garbage time guy. He was just maybe in the wrong system with the wrong coaching staff in
that sorry
Buffalo.
ass line. Yeah,
I
Buffalo will
mean,
Mm.
protect him. They ain't really get a line
this
until
league
Tyrod
is a
was on
matter
the scene.
of getting the right fit with the right staff and doing the right things, and it's just one of those things. Sometimes, we're quick to look and see the production that we get and automatically assume that somebody isn't good when in fact, ship him to a different spot, a la Chris Hogan. I mean, where was he at last? That effective.
Oh,
Buffalo.
with Buffalo, that's true.
Yeah, I
That's true.
mean, ship all of these Buffalo wide receivers out to different places and they look a little bit different, don't they?
I agree.
I mean, it's just one of those things. So for EJ, I mean, I know that he had talent. I'm not saying that he's all world or anything like that, but I knew he had enough talent to be able to stick on somebody's roster and be a decent backup. And I mean, he got a chance to do it fair and square in Oakland, and he beat the kid out. So
We'll see how
he's
it
the
goes.
starter right now. Yeah, he's the starter right now. Connor Cook is going to be the number two guy. Uh, their setup system. That's why they didn't go a lot of Titans and pick up a quarterback off the street or anything like that because they already had Connor Cook as their third. So when Carr got hurt, they just went with Manuel, and Connor Cook will be backing them up. It'll be interesting to
Well,
see though.
did you do your fishy running backs, Wilson?
My fishy running back is actually going to be Ty Gurley for the
Whoa.
Rams.
Whew.
I'm not buying into him putting up David Johnson like total yardage every week.
No.
I don't believe in the Rams like that quite yet. I'm not saying that he's going to be a dud or he's going to fall off, but I'm not going to
I'll
see
get
200 plus
the numbers
yards.
will come down. He's not gonna have
I'm
94
not going to see 200. I'm not going to see 200 plus yards from scrimmage every game, and that's the only reason why I put him in the fishy category. I think that Ty Gurley is in the midst of having a real breakout season, not only as far as the league paying attention to him, but as far as his belief in his abilities. Because I think for the first time in his career, he actually has a coaching staff and a system in place that is truly dedicated to maximizing his talent. So you'll see those kinds of games every
That's the
now
one
and
thing.
then, but it's not going to be that.
Running backs always have
But
talent. It's when they get that confidence. That's when they
but
change.
Yeah,
but let me be honest with you. I want to make sure y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
yes, sir.
I want you to tell something about Todd Gurley because Mr. DeMarcus was hyping him up in the preseason and when we did the divisional breakdown, and I had my little skepticism about him, and I said, you know what, I can't trust this guy. But then I saw them play the Colts in Washington, and I said, you know what, there's something different about Todd Gurley. It looks like he's getting more involved in the passing game. He's starting to look more comfortable in the offense, and he's starting to play within his role and not try to do too much. People are shaky on what's coming up, but let me throw something out to you. They play Seattle. Seattle just been getting ran over as bad as any other defense. Jacksonville just got schooled by Bilal Powell and that other backup with the Jets. And Arizona's run defense has been shaky this whole entire year right now. Todd Gurley right now is the best running back in fantasy, in my opinion. I even take him over Kareem Hunt, in my opinion. And this is what
Here's
I go for. This is
here's
the
my
eyeball
question.
test. Go for
Here's
it.
my only question about that. You said Seattle, you said Arizona, and Jacksonville, right?
hmm
Uh, Yardage and points is two different things, though, right? Because last time I checked, Seattle wasn't giving up 20 a game. Jacksonville don't seem to be giving up too many points a game. Uh, so while he might get success from a yardage standpoint, how many times is he actually going to touch the end zone?
See, but that's the thing about Todd Gurley, and the thing that I love about Todd Gurley, that this year and this season, he's averaging at least 8 targets for a running back. And if my running back is are averaging 8 targets, that means that he's going to at least catch at least half of those, if not a little bit more. So he's giving
You
me a
can pencil
guaranteed
in Todd
floor.
for 20 touches a game. You can pencil.
Exactly. And that's the thing that I love
Oh
about
yeah.
Todd Gurley going forward. And that's the thing when he had that interview with after the game when they played the 49ers and he talked to them about him modeling his game after Le'Veon Bell. I just threw Le'Veon and he didn't say Le'Veon, but I'm showing some love to the Steelers. But David
Whatever. He
Johnson,
said David Johnson. He ain't say
he said
nothing
David
about Whack
Johnson.
Le'Veon
He,
Bell.
Hey, hey,
he
now.
wants to be the complete back and he wants to be the back that you can rely on in all facets of the game. And when I hear a young person like that with that amount of talent speaking like that, it shows volume. And when I went out there and when he said, I'm going to go out there and school and stomp all over the Cowboys, he did exactly what he preached. And I have faith in Todd Gurley going forward. People want to sell high on him. I wish I could have got Todd Gurley. I got him in 3 leagues and I'm loving it and I'm riding that wave and I hope he continues it going forward. But my fishy running backs are shared backfields. And the thing about shared backfields is I just not confident in any of them from Cincinnati, Seattle, Green Bay, the Ravens, the Bucks, the Vikings, and the Cardinals. Because even the Bucks came out and said that they're not confident in giving Martin his usual workload, and that's kind of scary. And they want to get Jaquiz Rogers going in that shared territory, and that's a problem to me. Just give somebody the work, give them the consistent work, and on top of that, I also want to throw the people that's in the two teams, two of the star teams that's on a bye within the Saints and also Atlanta, and they also have the whole shared backfield, and it's dampering each one of their players' fantasy impact going forward. In my opinion, there's no reason why Tevin Coleman should get as many targets that he should over Devontae Freeman. In my opinion, so it is what it is. Those shared backfields, I don't like them.
I'm with you 100%, man. Who you got for a receiver?
For receiver, I have Terrell Pryor. I don't have to spend too much time on him. He's still trash. When your quarterback,
Oh my
I'm
God.
gonna tell you why he's trash. When your quarterback is having the type of production that Kirk Cousins is having over the past couple of games, and you are only still getting 5 targets a game, and you're not fantasy relevant, that's a problem to me. And I'm running far away from Terrell Pryor right now.
All right, who you got, Wilson?
Yikes. For me, my fishy is
I had to get him.
one Will Fuller of the Houston Texans. Uh, great, great debut on the season. Great production. Did a lot to help Deshaun Watson as far as being able to come through for him and make plays, help him bolster that confidence, stuff like that. Just don't think that I'm going to see that kind of production out of him from week to week. I think that as they move forward in the season and the matchups get a little bit tougher, it's really going to test the metal and see how much he's developed true Alvin Harper to the Michael Irvin of DeAndre Hopkins in that offense. But I'm not ready to buy just yet. I'll see after Sunday night's game.
Yeah, I mean, I pencil him in right now as like a young Deshaun Jackson. I mean, you can only pencil him in for maybe a score every now and then, but you don't know when it's going to come. He helps the quarterback's numbers or the total offense numbers just in general by being out there. Because you see the long passes get called. You know, when you at the 1 yard line like the Patriots, that's why. That's why you got a Brandon Cooks to go out there and run a fly route. You're gonna throw it deep and hope for a flag. You know. So yeah, he's definitely helping Deshaun Watson and the offense out more than his actual fantasy numbers. Because
We
he
talking
left,
about Will Fuller, right?
yeah, because Will Fuller left about 80 yards in the touchdown out there on the field from flag.
He did. He did. I agree with that. But he opens things up for Deshaun
Yeah,
Watson without
yeah,
like.
he helps the quarterback's numbers more than he does his actual numbers. You know, so Will Fuller should have had well over 100 yards if he got everything going. And the fishy receiver that I got is gonna be Ted Ginn. I mean, he just didn't take advantage of that time that Snead was out, and even with Snead out, this
Who?
dude.
Ted, goodbye. Ted,
Yeah,
retire.
yeah, he pretty much did. I mean, he doesn't show nothing like these 4 games, and he's droppable at this point. They on a bye week. You definitely not gonna play him, and it seems like Kamara is gonna be the new guy. I mean, as far as catches, he's getting targeted from everywhere. So
Yeah, he looks real good. Kamara, man, I did not think he was gonna look that great, but man, that
yeah,
guy is
I think
balling.
Wilson. Wilson said what?
Wilson called
I
it.
think week one, like week
Yeah,
one.
Wilson called it.
Yeah, he
Wilson
called
called
it.
it.
Uh, I told you guys the reason why I have more confidence in Kamara because we had a little mini debate
We
about
did.
New
Ingram.
Orleans backfield and who needs to start or whatever. And the one reason and the only reason that I said that I thought that Kamara was going to be the best option is that he pretty much does what AP and Ingram does. Maybe not to the same magnitude that each one of them does their individual things, but he's the best blend, the best of both worlds. And he's no liability whatsoever in the passing game. He's actually an asset, almost like a Duke Johnson in Cleveland. That kid can catch his ass off out of the backfield.
Yes, he can.
Yep. 100%, man. The tight end I got as good as he looked, and I know Wilson just gave him props. It's gonna be OJ Howard because, I mean, you can't expect long plays like that all the time. He's not getting enough targets, and I think if Brate was to go down, I'd have a lot more confidence. But it seems like Brate is really the guy. If I had to start one of them, it's gonna be Cameron Brate over OJ Howard.
I can agree with that.
Once again, we just don't know when that big player come. I can guarantee OJ Howard gonna have at least 4 or 5 touchdowns this year. So he just needs 4 or 3 more, and we just don't know when that game is going to come. I don't expect it to be this week, and he's just a risky start. If I had anybody to start, it'll be Cameron Brate.
I agree with that, and I like how Cameron Brate looks. And once how Wilson called out, he went ahead and said that he is the Jason Witten, and honestly, he is check down Charlie, and he relishes in that role. My tight end is Tyler Kroft of the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, Tyler Eifert is down, but Tyler Kroft, you will not always get 10 targets, 6 receptions, 68 yards, and 2
just
touchdowns.
Stole all of Joe Mixon numbers.
You will not play the Browns, and Andy Dalton will not play that great. Let's get back to giving Joe Mixon some love.
The difference between Kamara and Joe Mixon is Drew Brees and Andy Dalton.
That is true.
That's the biggest difference.
They don't utilize them.
They both is talented, but one got a Hall of Fame quarterback and one got the red rifle.
And
who wants the red rifle?
And let me ask you a question, DeMarcus. Do you like how they're utilizing Lamar Miller over there in the Texans this week?
Yeah, because he's one of the greatest third down backs in the league.
Thank you. They are finally utilizing him.
I mean, he's Darren Sproles in a 6-foot body. That's all he is. He pass protects he pass protects better than half the tackles we have on the team. I can tell you, he laid people out these last couple games, and nobody says nothing about it because he's a running back, and you feel like every running back is supposed to chip block. Every running back can't do it. That's why Foreman not really game. They don't trust him in passing block situations like they trust Lamar Miller. So yeah, third down back, second and third down back, that's his role. But it's just not the third, fourth, and shorts that he need to be in.
I like Lamar Miller going forward. I like his how they're going to utilize him in the offense, and with Deshaun Watson with that running threat, I feel like Lamar it's going to open things up for Lamar Miller.
Lamar Miller is like a great college quarterback at this point, a running back at this point. I mean, he's going to be great in space. He's going to leak out, and he can pass block. He's what you want in a third down back.
I agree. Did Wilson give his tight end?
My fishy tight end is going to be consistent and the same because he's hit or miss due to the system that he plays in. And I don't know what the hell they got going on in LA, but Hunter Henry, 1 week he's on, 1 week he's completely off, 1 week he's on, 1 week he's completely off. I mean, like there's no consistency whatsoever. And for the total package, for the skill set that he brings, for the talent that we've all seen on display from this kid, it is still mind-boggling to me that he will go from being in the mix, being a part of the offense, getting his touches, getting his red zone touches, getting a touchdown here and there, to literally not being targeted at all from week to week. That's amazing. I can see if somebody is going through and they're scheming and they're putting in.
Guys, is it the coach? Is it the move? Or is it the actual system? Like what?
It's everything.
I think it's a little bit of everything, man.
Can I tell you this? This is a Chargers fan over here. You know I'm a Chargers fan.
Is that the right coach for the job? Let's start with that.
Let me tell you right now. No, let me tell you this. The whole entire organization is the problem.
That's why Eli didn't want to go. I mean,
it made no sense for you to draft Mike Williams at all when you have enough offensive
talent. Are you kidding me?
There was no reason to draft him because guess what? You have offensive talent. You had Keenan Allen coming back. You still had Travis Benjamin. You had Hunter Henry, who who was looking like a mini Gronk last year at the tail end of last year. You still had Tyrell Williams. You have offensive weapons, and you still have Melvin Gordon.
And Keenan Allen was coming back. I mean, I know you.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I had said that earlier, but it's just crazy that they just make the stupidest boneheaded decisions, and it just blows my mind. Phillip Rivers needs protection. They also need to improve on that defense, but what do? Waste.
I mean, they drafted Lamb, but he got hurt. Forrest Lamb. He tore the ACL. So I mean,
it's
they
bad
tried.
juju. It's bad juju.
And it was a bad offensive line. Yeah, I mean, look, we took Julian Davenport, and this dude ain't played a lick of D1 football in his life. So that shows you how bad they just got bad luck. It's just bad luck all around.
It's bad. It's bad juju over there. I don't know what's going on. They need to go back to San Diego.
Would you rather own the Clippers or the Chargers? Like, ugh.
The Chargers probably because I got Phillip Rivers.
The Chargers. It's a super easy fix in a town like LA with a team like the Chargers because y'all can both rebuild and grow together. Trust me, they have no super big name on that team to really rally around at this point, other than maybe Joey Bosa, depending on the way that they choose to market it. You can literally start that up grassroots from the ground up, keep the crowd and town and community involvement heavy with it. Oh yeah, you can sew yourself right into the fabric of LA with the Chargers inside of 5 years. Easy. Clippers, everybody knows what they get when it comes to the Clippers, and it ain't really that good because Paul just left. I guarantee you DeAndre Jordan will be gone after this season.
Boy, he gonna request that trade so quick.
Well, he don't have to request that trade. He's a free agent.
Oh, he did only sign for 3 years or 4 years. Yeah,
he's a free agent after this season.
Oh yeah, he's chunking deuce.
Yeah, you're right.
Mr. Texas A&M will definitely get a phone call from he'll get one from the 210.
Oh my goodness.
Please believe it. Please believe it. It's a reason why LaMarcus stayed and got the rest of his guap and is doing his thing. And San Antonio ain't bat an eyelash and really try to break the bank on no major moves this season and let Simmons go and stuff like that. Trust me, there's a method to that madness. They're going to be well under the salary cap after this season. They only have 3 players on the roster that's scheduled to make more than $5 million after this season is over with. Trust me.
Okay, I can definitely see that, but that has been the fishy and the gritty players for week 4, man. That was a good little list right there.
That was a good list.
But man,
it's gonna be even better after week 5.
Yeah, it's gonna get more controversial because a lot of teams gonna be exposed because a couple teams on bye week. So, you kind of dependent on your roster this week.
That's the part now. Everybody just jumped out to these fast leads and they think that their teams are so great, or people that think that their teams are so terrible. Well, now you have the great equalizer coming into play because them bye weeks is going to separate the boys from the men.
The bye weeks are coming.
And from a fantasy standpoint, there's a lot of prove it games. There's a lot of interesting matchups for this weekend too. It's a lot of interesting matchups, particularly with the worst teams in the NFL.
Yeah, it is gonna be some. It's gonna be some. Sorry,
you got your Jets in Cleveland. You got your Frisco in Indianapolis. You know those kind of games are gonna be funny to see because somebody's gonna have to win them. Somebody's gonna have to show out fantasy wise. Your Buffalo at Cincinnati, super interesting game to me as far as fantasy is concerned. Buffalo seems to be the fantasy football killers of this early season because anybody that's got a major squad fantasy wise, they've been shutting them down.
One passing touch.
It's gonna be real fun to see.
That's crazy.
They didn't shut down Tevin Coleman. I was surprised about that one.
Well, those dump offs add up so quick.
Yeah, I think they was willing to sacrifice Coleman for shutting everybody else down. And hell, they put Sanu and Jones out of the game. I'm good with that.
And that's what I want to see going forward. And this is, like you said, this is going to be a good fantasy aspect because I want to see what Mixon does because Andy Dalton should utilize him more in the passing game this Sunday. And if he doesn't, it's going to be some red flags coming up.
Well, shoot, I don't know. The way Bernard produced in that passing game this past weekend, hell, if it ain't broke, you might not want to fix it.
But with Bernard, he just had that long run. See, that's why I say that was kind of fishy because when you watch the game, Buffalo
when it comes to a low-scoring team like a Buffalo, though, that one long run is really all that you might need.
That's true. It's
not like they're chunking up 30 points a game, and that's the thing.
Joe Mixon did have 20 touches. Hey, we say when you get 20 touches, I mean they believe in you, man. But we are gonna jump into this week 4 recap, man. we gonna start off with the Thursday night. Oh my God, that damn delay pissed me off. I'm just sitting there looking like, come on now, we are gonna come back out here,
That
but
delay helped me out because I was at work and I didn't know if I was going to get a chance to see my team finish playing. And the good Lord said, "You know what? I'll let it rain until you close up shop, sir. Go ahead, go
oh
ahead,
yeah,
carry on."
you seen them finish, man. You seen them finish. They put a whooping on those boys. What side y'all
Mhm.
gonna talk about?
He can check at Green Bay like always. Give that man some love. Y'all don't even know why you threw that out there.
I just
Um,
gotta tell. I gotta tell. See if he gonna ever pass the team.
He ain't gonna-
oh well, I mean, y'all know how the old man goes. Don't get it twisted. I'll argue anybody's side. I can argue against my team just as good as I can argue for them. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, if you know it, you know it. If you got it,
Oh,
you
we
got
just
it.
want you. We just wanted your fantasy advice on looking at the Packers.
Like with the Packers, like we said at the beginning of the year, and like I told everybody, for me, literally, the only person that I will always trust in fantasy on Green Bay's team without question is Aaron Rodgers. I'm
Mm-hmm.
starting to lean that way towards Jordy Nelson as well, but it's a little bit more unpredictable for receivers because they don't control their own destiny. Uh, but outside of those two guys, I mean, you get favorable matchups, and don't get me wrong, they're going to be successful more often than not. But as far as just completely jump in, go ahead, start every, nah, it's kind of iffy because of the simple fact that outside of Jordy Nelson, who we know is going to be reliable, pretty much inside the 30, as far as targets and stuff like that is concerned, like the curse of Green Bay is the fact that from a fantasy standpoint, Martellus Bennett, Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb, Geronimo Allison. There's really no difference between the four, and there's no preference amongst Aaron Rodgers as far as who he'll throw to at any given point in time. So while it makes them great in real life, it doesn't make them very secure in fantasy terms.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, outside of Nelson, who's a wide receiver one, outside of Rodgers, who's obviously a QB one, I could say that Devontae Adams is a fringe wide receiver two, more of a wide receiver three, and then everybody else, as far as I'm concerned, are flex picks. It just kind of depends on the individual matchup that week. There's nobody that's going to be a consistent wide receiver two or a consistent wide receiver three like every single week because it just changes on the matchup. For instance, this weekend, I think that Devontae Adams, if he plays, is going to have a huge game.
Ooh,
It's
I like
just
that
it's
preview.
just something that he does. Now, one thing that I will say historically against the Cowboys, Devontae Adams always has good games against them.
Okay, y'all see that preview? He dropping that knowledge on y'all boys. From the Chicago standpoint,
New starting
uh,
quarterback. New starting quarterback. Let me add that in there too.
well,
Mitchell.
I'm not gonna talk about that since that's gonna be addressed later on in the show. But I'm gonna give some love to my boy Kendall Wright, who I told you on this podcast to start if you had him on your team, and he gave you a healthy 4
Yes,
receptions,
sir.
51 yards, and a touchdown. He had a good game, even though it seemed like Glennon couldn't find him in the second half. All those numbers were in the first half, but
He found the Packers plenty of
but
times.
yeah, but he looks good. He looks good,
Man.
and like you said, with that quarterback change, that should be good things for him. Also, your boy DeMarcus loves to shit on this guy on a daily basis, but Jordan Howard kept it trunking with 53
2.9
yards. And
with
hey,
2.9
it does not matter, son. He still got 53 yards and a touchdown, and he become fantasy relevant. And with the quarterback changes, the whole offense is going to look much better. And Tyree Cohen is the guy who a lot of people were going to. He kind of didn't give you the numbers that you were looking for, but once again, I can safely say that a
That's
man that
all
can give
Glennon. Yep.
a man that can give you at least 5 catches, and I know that is Glennon. I would love to put him on the bench going forward with the new quarterback change and see what it's going to do and see how that offense shake out. But the only people I'm confident in starting is Jordan Howard as a RB2 and Kendall Wright as a flex in in PPR and in standard going forward.
There we go, man. Then we gonna move on to the Texans and the Titans game. It was
Damn
just a slaughter.
Texans.
That was just a slaughterhouse, man. I mean,
Hey, we sit up there and said that we thought this was going to be an upset game, and I think the Texans heard us and they said, "Hey, watch it now, fish and grits."
all right,
We
they
coming to
they
play.
did.
Pretty
They went in.
much.
They started stumping on that bull and pissed him off. So
Pretty much. They came in my house and tracked up mud all on my floor,
I said,
stepped
"How
on my couch like Rick
disrespectful."
James, and drank my last of my Kool-Aid. I was like, God damn, what did I do here? Yeah, I heard your podcast. Keep your mouth closed. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I don't want no problems. I'm sorry. My bad.
and for the second straight week, Clowney with the strip sack brothers.
Hey, he looks good. Clowning looks
Man.
good.
Yeah.
there we go.
Best play. Hey, best play on defense.
Well,
Hey,
well, let me take
can't deny it.
can I take the Texas side of this one?
Go ahead.
Most
Go
definitely.
ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna give some love to Lamar Miller. I'm not gonna get on DeMarcus because we had a little bet going, but I failed on my end. But I like to
Hey, you
say
won,
that
you won your bet. What you
I
mean?
said no. I said I failed on I failed on one of our bets, so I can't clown you too much because we both was even. But like I said, Lamar Miller would get more than 14 points this week because I truly felt that Deshaun Watson was the best thing for Lamar Miller and for his career going forward from a fantasy standpoint. Because once you lighten his load and get him more involved in the passing games, you see what Lamar Miller can do. He can go ahead and score them 2 touchdowns. He can get those 3 to 4 catches, and then he can pick up those yards at the catch because that's what he's good. He's good in the open field. So I trust Lamar Miller as a high-end RB2, and on some weeks he can make it into the RB1 category. And then also, if you listen to this podcast, you know that we're high on Deshaun Watson. He did nothing but show out and ball on the Titans. He really embarrassed the Titans. He played one of the best games I've seen as a rookie that I'm pretty sure both of you gentlemen have seen for a rookie quarterback.
All time.
He did a great job with his 4 touchdowns and his also 1 rush touchdown. It was great to see Will Fuller, who I think we talk about Will Fuller and he was a good person to stash.
Well, he was a little sour.
I believe that came up.
I believe it came up. I believe one of us said that you should stash him to see what he's going. I don't know who said it, but
I think it came up from a standpoint of we knew that he's in, again, like DeMarcus said, he's in that Deshaun Jackson type of category where he's going to break out and have a game every so often where he's just going to light it up, maybe a 6 catch, 150-yard, 2 touchdown game, but then he'll go 5 games without doing too much anything. Yeah.
And what I like about the Texans and I love about what I saw was Will Fuller's getting him coming back and getting him the touches and giving him the love that he needed to get going and get more acclimated into the system. And you go on the show, give some love to Bill O'Brien that he's going ahead and open that playbook and he's going to let Deshaun Watson take over and use all his weapons. So there's no check down Charlie to the tight end like we've seen with a lot of quarterbacks. He's going ahead and open up the offense. So Deshaun Watson, gonna give him some love. I'm throwing him into the QB2 range going forward, and I would love to see what he's gonna do against Kansas City this week. But it's also, let's get a hand clap for my boy DeAndre Hopkins, who I was low on going into this year, proving me wrong once again with 10 catches and 100+ yards and a touchdown. He was looking amazing out there. And for the Ryan, look at that. And I'm gonna throw this out here for the Ryan Griffin owners. Don't be too sad about what you saw. The production, the targets were there, but it was just Titans. The Titans were not covering the wide receivers, and Deshaun Watson's like, hey,
they couldn't cover the wide.
I might as well just throw it to my wide receivers, and you saw what you got. So
Lamar was wide ass open on their right hash mark, just chilling like,
hey, that pass rush, it's like the Titans was blitzing all the time, and then Watson just turned around and just dump it off to Miller.
Out his hands, yeah.
So yeah. That's who I got for the Texans. I'm really impressed with what they see. I was really impressed with what I saw from them on both sides of the ball, and I just truly think that the Texans can be a fantasy bonanza type of team going forward.
Yeah, the schedule is favorable. What you looking like on Tennessee, man?
Grumpy Wilson.
Y'all with this fantasy football bonanza stuff. Texans offense ain't never been a fantasy football bonanza ever.
Hey,
but, okay, we'll get past that.
When you talk about 50 points, it's like, well, okay, this is nice, but I don't know how to respond. Okay.
Well, that's because your D got involved.
Oh yeah, they did. They did get involved. They did start to show up and get some picks and
Andre Howard.
That's your D got involved. When you go through and you balance out with a quarterback that's taking advantage of his opportunities with a defense that's being just as opportunistic with turning over the other team, you get them kind of results. And it's long overdue. I mean, I'm glad somebody finally figured it out, but that's the way that you do that kind of stuff. For Tennessee, Murray is a RB2 pick for me. Henry is a flex, and that would just about do it. What's the next game, DeMarcus?
Are you even low on our boy? What was it?
Delaney Walker.
Delaney, what's the next game, DeMarcus?
Oh my goodness! Is he droppable?
Okay, let's look at it like this. Let's look at it like
droppable.
Let's look at it like this. Who the hell is throwing to Delaney?
Matt Castle and
But is he?
Hey, but can we?
I mean, I'm not being sarcastic. I'm being straight up serious. I mean, with their shitstorm that they have going on at quarterback right now, what part of that offense do you trust outside of Henry and Murray?
I agree with you, and the only thing I would say is Matt Castle actually looked complacent when he had to fill in for him last year. And Delaney Walker is always going to be a check down, so I would confidently put him in. I want to say maybe. I don't know. It depends on the matchup. Depends on the matchup because it's tough.
Everybody
Now
else
you say it
outside
is
of
tough
Murray and Henry is a flex on that team.
because you don't know who to trust at the wide receiver
What's the
position.
next team? What's the next game,
Oh,
DeMarcus?
go
we,
Demarcus. Go
we,
go
we,
for
go-
your man.
we going to that surprising New Orleans shutout that we seen against the Dolphins.
Ooh-wee.
That New Orleans defense now, AJ Klein in the middle. I felt like he was a good signing, and he's damn showing it, man. He's showing he's a true
It's,
leader on that team.
it's a funny thing about London that it makes trash teams look so wonderful when they take that
Something in the
transatlantic
water.
flight. It's something about the fish and chips, I think, that makes terrible teams look really good over there.
These taste better over here. We should have sent a
Man,
little pep in our
Jacksonville
step.
look like world beaters over there. New Orleans look like world beaters over there.
And they get the break.
Okay, what team do I want to take? What team do I want to take? Give me, you know what? Give me the Dolphins because they look so fucking terrible.
Do you trust their Jay?
I don't trust anybody on that offense going forward besides Devontae Parker. And the only reason why I say that is because he's getting the targets, he's getting the catches, and that's about it. You can't trust Jay Cutler because he looks lost out there once again.
Right now, I'm pissed.
Who?
If I'm Jarvis Landry right now, I am pissed. I'm beyond pissed.
Yeah, man, because this doesn't make any sense. It's just embarrassing how bad Miami looks after how they look coming out that long bye after week one. They look horrible, and there's no person. If I'm a Jay Ajayi owner, like I traded him off, and I'm happy about it. If you are a Jay Ajayi owner, you're gonna bank and you're gonna pray to God Himself on your knees after listening to this podcast and say, Lord, please let Jay Ajayi shine this week against the Colts, so I can trade him off. That's what you're begging for, and that's all. There's nobody else I want on this team. Maybe Devontae Parker, but it just depends on the matchup.
What's going down in the boot, Wilson?
Sky's blue, water's wet. Drew Brees is still Drew Brees. Encouraging to see a little bit more action from Michael Thomas.
He looks good.
It's encouraging to see him starting to kind of round into form. Pleasant surprise, guy that I was, as we already talked about, high on since the preseason. I'm liking the progression and more involvement in the offense of Alvin Kamara. I think that unlike the previous few times when they've tried to go for a running back for the Saints, they actually drafted the type of tailback that you need to succeed in this offense. I think that he blends and he meshes very well with what they try to do offensively. I think that Drew Brees has finally bought in and is extremely comfortable with him in the passing game. I really think that his numbers are going to push him past this flex into a solid RB2 standpoint in the next few weeks. Outside of that, there's nobody else that I really trust on there. I don't trust the tight ends at all. I don't trust any of the other running backs at all. I'm still not completely sold on Snead yet. It'll be interesting to see how much he progresses and how long it takes before he kind of gets into the mix and gets comfortable in that offense. But right now, to me, he might be 3 weeks away.
At this point, it looked like 75% of his targets is Thomas, Kamara, Ingram. That's
pretty much.
Everybody else, get in where you fit in.
Pretty much. If you happen to be open when I glance your way, then I'll give it to you. But other than that,
Brandon Coleman, 1 target, 1 catch for 31 yards. Thank you for dressing out and wasting our jersey.
And in a very unbreeze-like fashion, historically, I don't think he has any faith in his tight ends whatsoever.
Now 0.
We usually see more targets towards the tight end for Drew Brees, but no.
But do you see why? You cannot trust Kobe Fleener. Too many drops. It doesn't make any sense how bad it is. And I kind of wish that they would just move on from Adrian Peterson. And I feel like he's holding that offense back. He is really holding that offense from being
Waste the carries. He a waste of 4 carries. You just wasted four.
I agree. But look, I like to high five, myself and also high five DeMarcus, because I'm gonna let y'all know before Marcus came on, me and DeMarcus said this. Michael Thomas breakout is coming, and we smell it and we see it. This dude right here. If you watch that game in London, if you watch also the last game against the Patriots, Drew Brees is not checking down and looking for the running backs or anything like. He's looking for Michael Thomas, and if Michael Thomas is Kamara, and it's looking beautiful. He has a better rapport with Michael Thomas than he had with Marquise Colston, and that's saying a lot, in my opinion, or Jimmy Graham. I love the connection they have, and it's going to start looking better because guess what? If you're like me and you look at the playoff schedule, it looks so juicy.
Mm-hmm. Indeed it does. And man, we had the Bills, the first place Bills.
Let's go.
The undefeated Falcons.
T-Mobile.
Wait, they did it on the road. LaShawn McCoy screaming at people. I loved it, man.
Yeah, it was beautiful. That's a hype team, man, because they overachieving by fucking a long shot. I did not expect 3-1.
What side of the ball y'all taking from these 3-1 teams?
I'm gonna let Marcus take Atlanta because he was doing so well in our other show, breaking down their struggles.
For Atlanta, man, and let me preface this by saying that the one thing that makes Buffalo such an interesting team moving forward is the fact that we've always talked about how teams like the Atlantas of the world, the Detroits of the world, are pretty much built from the ground up to be successful indoors on fast tracks, offensively. That seems to be the way that a lot of the teams in the league want to move towards, because majority of the stadiums are built that way and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Well, the conundrum that I find myself with, ironically, with Buffalo is that I have to give them props on the fact that that's the way that they actually built their defense, is to really excel on fast tracks indoors. Why? Because they're actually built to be able to play through that sluggish, cold, snowy weather low. So when you put them in ideal conditions, when you put them on a fast track, they're even faster than they usually are, which I know through Matt Ryan and his offensive coordinator off their rhythm significantly. Matt Ryan right now, I don't even have in the QB1 space anymore. He's barely holding on to QB2 at this point. Unfortunately, we're in a format when we're talking about fantasy football. Shit, it's all about the numbers. Matt ain't got them numbers. Devontae doing well when defenses aren't keying on him, but with the way that Matt Ryan is playing, that trend is about to start coming too, and they're about to start keying on him.
And you've seen it with 3.2 yards a carry. So when he's back there, they attacking.
Yeah,
that's why Coleman had a little bit more success. They didn't know he was gonna run a pass.
Exactly, and it gives Matt Ryan a bigger target out of the backfield almost by default because there's just something going on with that offense where they just kind of look like they're out of kilter, kind of helter skelter. I know losing your top two receivers didn't help, but when you're Matt Ryan, you're defending NFC champion, NFL MVP. You can't really make them kind of excuses, and I'm not expecting that kind of sympathy because I'm a Packers fan. I watch people grill my quarterback over less than that for half a year. You want to be the man, you got to be able to take that punishment. You still got to be able to make plays. You still should be able to go through and get those kinds of wins if you are who you say you are. You still have your usual suspects. I'm still high on Julio Jones. I'm still very high on Mohamed Sanu as a wide receiver too. I'm not really big on too many other facets. Tight end is a flex. Coleman is a desperation flex. Devontae is still a running back one, in my opinion. Although leaning more towards by default than anything else. There just aren't that many legit in the NFL to speak of today, period. So, I mean, he's still one of the few because he's going to get the majority of the workload as far as touches at running back and stuff like that.
You can pencil him in for 20. He's going
to get at least 20 touches. I mean, if not, somebody's getting fired. There's no way. I mean, literally, you're in a position now between the contract that he just got and what he means to that offense overall. If he's not touching the ball at least 20 times a game, somebody needs be fired. Period.
Mhm.
Other
And
than that, there's really nothing else that I can see out of Atlanta. One thing that I will say to kind of keep your eye on, because I think that they're just kind of playing the matchup game a little bit better. Uh, I'm actually kind of getting the feeling that I think Taylor Gabriel is going to start getting the ball a little bit more uh,
By default, yeah.
by default to a certain extent, but because of the fact that some of the plays, when you look at them, the way that they kind of set it up and run it for him, puts him in a situation kind of like a Deshaun Jackson, where he's popping the top or he's like disgustingly wide open to make plays. And if that continues, I could see him finishing the year with maybe 6 or 7 touchdowns.
I can agree with that. I can definitely see him getting Matt Ryan back on track because those are the touchdowns that he's missing right now.
I think it might take more than that. I think it might take a priest and some holy water at this rate.
let me
I've not seen Matt Ryan look this bad since he's been in the NFL. Honestly, this last 3 game stretch, I really haven't seen him look that bad before.
from the Buffalo standpoint, I would, if I were an owner and I was, I want to say, in a good position, like 3-1 or something like that, I would try to target LaShawn McCoy. It's amazing to see that Buffalo's 3-1 and LaShawn McCoy hasn't had the typical LaShawn McCoy type of game that is needed. But the thing I like about LaShawn McCoy is he's starting to get a lot of more targets than he got over the, I want to say, the past few years. And I can see him. I think LaShawn McCoy may get 60, maybe 70 catches this year, which is amazing for a running back. And I just would like to see what Tyrod can do with the lighter schedule that's going to be coming up after their bye. They have Tampa Bay, Oakland, the Jets, New Orleans, and the Chargers. So LaShawn McCoy owners, if you own LaShawn McCoy, stay patient. His breakout is coming against these weaker run defenses. And also, if you are a team that can afford to try to trade for LaShawn McCoy, I would. I also like my boy Charles Clay. We've been talking about it since preseason. Charles Clay is the number one option in that team from a passing standpoint that's not named LaShawn McCoy, and it's starting to show. The man is starting to show up every game, and I'm loving the way that Tyrod is looking for him and getting him the ball. And then a thing about Charles Clay that goes unnoticed and unsung is the man makes nice catches. He makes really nice catches. There was a deep bomb thrown to him that he grabbed over two wide receivers two backs that he snagged over. It could have, they got mossed by a tight end, honestly. And I'm really liking his game. Tyrod, he's not playing the greatest in some of these matchups, but I think, like I said, going forward, he's going to be more in those type of games where he's going to have to throw the ball to catch up or run the ball to catch up. But right now, their defense has really been showing up and really holding teams to unstartable fantasy type numbers. So going forward, I like the Buffalo defense, and then I also like Tyrod. If you can get him, if you need a backup quarterback with these buys coming,
T-Mobile.
take a flyer on him. You might well change your cell phone provider and dial up for T-Mobile.
Are you putting any more stock in Zay Jones, or are you completely done with him
Uh,
Jordan Matthews out?
I'm not confident in anybody. I was high on Zay Jones, but going forward, I would be confident in Zay Jones when you start getting to these matchups where it may be a shootout. So with Tampa Bay coming up after the bye, I would probably take a flyer on Zay Jones because I think that could be a shootout. Same with New Orleans, I would take a flyer on that. And just to see how if the Chargers are in a downward spiral and Buffalo plays them, I would go ahead and not play Zay Jones. But if the Chargers are finally getting it going, then I would throw Zay Jones because that's going to be some good shooting out type of games.
There we go. Then we also had the battle in Cleveland. The Bengals put a whipping on those Browns, 31-7. Wilson, I know you had a lot of family looking at this game. How they felt about the outcome?
Oh man, I mean, it's one of those things that unfortunately for them, they're jaded to the point where they figure it's going to be a win all the time against Cleveland anyway. That being said, like the progression is being made, you got to play the people that's in front of you on your schedule. But if you're a Bengals fan, it's progress. Look much more fluid offensively. Andrew Dalton looked a lot more comfortable. The offense just flowed a lot better. We talked about it last week. We didn't know which one, but I remember I said one of them running backs for Cincinnati was going to get involved in that passing game.
You said Bernard probably would be in the one passing.
We got through. That happened. Nice splash play. Hell of a run. But those are those kinds of things that you need to get on track as an offense. Those are those kinds of things that you need to shake off a terrible start to the season if you're an Andy Dalton, to keep those cylinders firing off, to keep hitting your guys, to keep everything in stride, to find a little hidden gem like a Croft that held on for you, to find that your usual suspects like your AJ Greens were still out there doing their thing, to be able to have that comfort with that three-headed monster back there in the backfield, with Hill, with Bernard, with Mixon. Although, as we all know, common sense will tell anybody that it's Mixon's backfield, but it's good to have those accent pieces going forward. Andy has made it back up to the bottom of the QB2 rankings for me. Still AJ. Mixon has crept up into the bottom of that RB2 category for me as well. Everybody else to me is a flex option. I'm still not high on the tight end production. I like what I saw out of Croft, but I don't have enough to trust that week to week. Tyler Eifert, I don't trust to get out of the cold tub without blowing his ACL and snapping his Achilles. So, I mean, that is what it is.
That's funny.
You know what I'm saying?
Sad
So,
but true. Sad but true.
let me say it in terms that people can understand. I don't expect Tyler Eifert to get out of the cold tub without Darren Sproling himself.
Oh, that means dying.
You know what I'm saying? So, for me, you can take a shot with Andy. His schedule is actually pretty okay. Next week's matchups, I'm not really a fan of. You got Mixon that you can kind of put in that running beat, that RB2, that flex kind of category. If you don't really have running backs, then I would say yes, put him up there immediately. Take your chances with the dual threat. And then, AJ Green is AJ Green. I think that he's just starting to turn the gas up on the stove. I think we have yet to see the best of AJ Green this season. I think that he's that ticking time bomb that's about to have like a 3 or 4 game stretch.
AJ Green was crawfish. The water's going. You probably just put the potatoes in, but you ain't like even done putting the salt on the crawfish.
I'm looking for that 3 or 4 game stretch where I think AJ is about to be like, I hear y'all talking about Mike Evans and Julio and Antonio and OB. Look at your boy. Look at your boy, goddammit. Y'all gonna put some respect on my name, both initials, the A and the J.
Well, since he had fun with his side of the team's the judge.
The 0-4.
I'll be quick with
my condolences.
I'll be quick with this one. Duke Johnson or bust, and that's what it is. That's the only person I want on the Browns. That's the only person I'm looking forward to start on the Browns. If you are in a pinch, maybe go Kenny Britt, but I think there are other wide receivers that can give
Kenny dead. They buried him.
Yeah, but he had 3 for 52, which was really impressive. But other than that,
when your coach say I would have benched you if I had healthy receivers, I don't.
Yeah, so if I were you, I would start Duke Johnson and pray Crowell plays better, and that's about it. Honestly, let's move on.
Moving on to the Rams and the Cowboys. The Rams came back in this one. They showed a little tough and resiliency. They halftime adjustments.
I'm ready to take my side already. I'm ready to jump in already.
Go for it.
This was my upset. This was my upset game of the week. Everybody was talking a hot shit on how the Cowboys was going to beat the Rams. And I said, you know what? The Rams team that I saw play the 49ers, and I don't think the 49ers have a shitty fucking defense. I like that Rams team. And they showed up and they showed out in Jerry World, and they balled on the Cowboys, and they put the world on notice that, guess what? Yeah, we was 3-1 last year on a fluke, but this year is not a fluke. Todd Gurley is kicking it.
Griff.
He's rolled. Huh?
Hey, Griff.
Yes, sir.
Who's that quarterback for the Rams?
Oh, that's Jared Goff. Jared Goff that Marquise Wilson sang his praises about. That dude right there is
Jared Goff right now is so happy that Jeff Fisher is not in an LA Rams locker.
We all happy. We all happy he was gone. Oh Lord, Mr. 8-8 had to get up out of here.
79 or 8-8 max. Get out of here, Jeff.
He's garbage, but I like to sing the praises of one Todd Gurley who gave my favorite running back in the league, David Johnson, some love on Thursday night, giving him a shout out and letting the world know that I watched David Johnson game tape and I want to play like that. And guess what? It's showing. The man had 7 catches on 94 yards and a beautiful touchdown, shaking and jiving down the field. And he also had 23 carries for 121 yards. As long as Jared Goff is going to move the ball up the field and actually make the defense honest, guess what? Todd Gurley can be put in your lineup with no hesitation, regardless of matchup. I feel like Todd Gurley, DeMarcus said it in the preseason, Todd Gurley is going to make the what's the word we looking for? The best jump, the greatest leap, or I don't know what you want to call it, but he's about to ball out on boys, and he might finish as the with LT numbers with it all because he's on pace. He's on pace to break his record. So if they keep it up, man, it's gonna be something nice to see. But also like Cooper Kupp, I can't trust anybody in that wide receiver core going forward to start with confidence as a wide receiver 1 or 2. But I would love to slide each one of those Robert Woods, Watkins, and Kupp into the flex position and just see what they give me, just depending on the matchup. And Jared Goff, like Wilson has said, you can lock him into your fantasy team as a QB2, a mid QB2. I think he's there. I think he's there with that offense and the way the defense plays and the way that they have Tavon Austin and how they can finally utilize him and be productive with him. Oh, yeah, it's going to be something nice to see going forward.
Yep, 100%, 100%. How about them Cowboys?
How about that?
How about them?
How about them Cowboys?
Oh, man. My biggest conundrum.
Hey, catch this.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not even a conundrum. It's a dilemma.
Uh-oh.
And I actually touched on it last week.
Uh-oh.
I actually touched on it the last 2 weeks. I think if we've all been keeping score with it, fellas, is the fact that I think one of the biggest problems with the Cowboys right now is that they're trying to force feed a man who is not putting himself in a position to be a playmaker. Dez Bryant is being targeted entirely too much for the amount of production that he's actually putting out there on the field. When you have guys that are establishing separation, that have that good short area quickness, that are actually popping the top off of defenses and getting open, you're still force feeding yourself. Understand what you get in that talent, that skill set. But if that man isn't fighting for those 50-50 balls, if that man isn't getting enough separation to present himself as a viable option, go to somebody else until he does. They're shooting themselves in the foot. And that's in real life as well as in fantasy football because it stunts the growth of Dak Prescott. It makes him look like he has tunnel vision. And that's not a good thing. Like, you got a tale of two different young quarterbacks in that game. One in Dak Prescott, who you can tell the talent is there. You can see that he has the mindset and he can make those kinds of plays because he has that lock on, that tunnel vision, where you have a Jared Goff that literally is like, man, after this shit I went through with Jeff Fisher, I don't give a damn who's open. If you're open, look for the ball because I'm giving it to you. We're trying to move the ball downfield and generate points. That's Goff's mindset. Prescott, I see that mindset in him, but he's just got, I don't know if it's something that he's being fed in the locker room through the coaching staff, whatever, what have you. Reason why Dez Bryant should be averaging, 14, 15 damn targets a game?
Yeah, that's sad.
With all the talent that they have on the field, with a Jason Witten at tight end, with an Ezekiel Elliott coming out of the backfield, with a combination of a Terrence Williams, Switzer, Beasley, on the other side, Bryce Butler to take you deep, that this man should be getting such a lion's share of the pitch count. And make no mistake about it, we're discussing a team that is a run team. So it's not like he's throwing the ball 45 times to justify 15 targets to one person. They're a ball control team. Jason Garrett likes to run an old-fashioned Dallas Cowboys, when I played on the team, mid-90s type of offense. He wants the run to set up everything. You can't do it like that. You don't have that kind of playmaking because you're not keeping people honest, and you're coming across now as predictable. Now, because now once people are keying in on your scheme and they know what you're doing and you're predictable, it's going to limit you even more. The only silver lining that they had in this game was the fact that for the first time all season, they actually ran the ball like they did last year. Over 200 total yards, and a large chunk of that was highlighted by Alfred Morris run. But it was just good to see them be able to get out there and make plays and kind of get some chunk yardage because they've really been stagnant in their running game all season long. Dak Prescott is a borderline QB2 for me at this point because at the rate that he's going to fall out of that category here pretty soon. trust to be a low tight end one, high tight end two category. They're actually doing a much better job this year than they have pretty much almost his whole career of getting him the ball in the red zone. He's actually scoring at a higher rate than I've ever seen him in his entire career at this point for the small sample size. I do not trust Dez Bryant. For me, he's a wide receiver two on the low end. I really don't have enough stock in any other wide receiver to make them anything outside of a flex out of convenience or desperation, however you want to word it. Alfred Morris is a situational dude. If somebody gets hurt, or you can predict the future and know that he's going to have a chunk play where he runs for 70 yards in a game. And Zeke, ideally, if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, is supposed to be right up there with the Ty Gurleys and Le'Veon Bells of the world, being a top dual threat running back, because he can catch the ball well out of the backfield and be involved in the passing game just like those guys. But they choose not to do that. They choose not to put themselves in those good positions. And unfortunately, in fantasy as well as in real life, this next game for them this weekend is going to be a really, really big test for them. And it can go south for them in a major way, because they're getting a pissed off, hungry team that actually is going to come in there and be pretty healthy, because Green Bay is going to get some of their defensive players back, namely one Mike Daniels. And that's going to be a problem for them.
Ooh, that preview. Look at that. Stay tuned.
Definitely, man. We also had a tough defensive battle happen in Minnesota. The game we seen Dalvin Cook go down, but the Lions pulled it out 14-7. How about that,
baby? Not my baby. No,
no, Cook. He won't be chefing no more.
Why y'all take Dalvin from me? Why y'all take Dalvin? Jesus!
When I saw him go down, it was
heartbreaking. You could have taken Latavius. Why you take Dalvin?
Really? Y'all should.
That's not like other guys. You should have shot A-Rod.
I remember that. That was funny.
I'm Derek Jeter. You shot me, you dick.
I had to look on the floor. I said, "That's not Dalvin Cook. That's Latavius Murray." Hey, tag him in. You
know what I'm saying?
Use another live.
Like, I literally did not want to believe it. Like, y'all lying. Stop lying.
What they should have did was they should have went to the back room and sacrificed Latavius Murray so they can heal Dalvin Cook.
Like, give me a uniform. Hey, give me your ACL, man.
You know what I'm saying?
You don't need this.
Hey, so I'm gonna go ahead and attack the Lions, man. I'm gonna give some love to the side of the ball that's not getting the most love, and that's the Lions defense. Am I echoing?
No,
hello.
You good.
I like to go for the Lions defense that's averaged over 10 plus points every game this season, and that's 4 games. And going forward, I like their schedule. I like the way that defense is coming together. I like the way that they're running the ball and starting to commit to Adula. I think we all talked about it in the preseason that we like the Adula, and we just wanted to see the Lions.
Healthy,
yeah, if they can stay healthy and they can commit to him, and if they commit to him, I feel like he has the type of running back qualities, and he showed in that touchdown run that he can bang with them if they give it to him in the goal line. And I think we also questioned that last week, if I want to be honest, that we questioned why they don't go to Adula in the red zone more like they should. I really like how they did. I know Matthew Stafford struggled, but going forward, you can always lock him in for QB1 numbers. He's always going to give you that grit and grind, that comeback, and that team is unified, and they're fighting for something, and they look like a team that's fighting for something. And that's the type of people, that's the type of team that I want to jump behind. Matthew Stafford showed you last year that I can do without Calvin Johnson. And guess what? This year, he's showing you once again, this team should be 4-0, because that was a bullshit as no touchdown that they didn't give Golden Tate. I still would debate it till this day.
Hey, when you bounce back off a call like that, you're a legit team.
Letter of the law.
You're a legit team.
Correct call, but none of us agree with it.
Yeah. I'm still going to debate that one, but you know what?
It's one of those. It's one of those. As written in the rule book, it was the right call. To us that have actually played and watched football, they full of shit.
Exactly.
It's just one of those things.
Exactly.
It's just one of those things.
But I want to give some love to Matthew Stafford. Trust him going forward. He is a QB1. He'll have bounce back numbers, so I'm not too worried. He played a Vikings team that always plays hella good at home.
There's no shame in having a bad game against that Vikings secondary. I'm sorry.
Buy low on Golden Tate. If people are nervous on Golden Tate, buy low on him. That dude right there is still has the golden hands of the league, so I trust him.
Trade him to me. Trade him to me if y'all not sold on it. Holla at me.
PPR PPR, you can lock him in for a wide receiver 2. And Abdullah, he's crept into the running back 2 role. And also, you can drop Ebron, and I'm done.
There we go. Moving on to the Vikings.
Vikings, a lot of grit, overcoming a lot of adversity. It's extremely hard in today's NFL when your number one quarterback and your number one running back are both out. Uh, that being said, one of the rare times I guess we'll do it on this show, for anybody that plays in standard leagues, I'll take the Minnesota Vikings defense all day long. Uh, they can sit, and they've played against some pretty sound offensive teams, and they do more than
They
hold
held
their
their
own.
own. Yeah, they
They do
held their
more
own.
than hold their own as a unit. Uh, on the offensive side of the ball right now, like the overall stock of Thielen, Diggs, and Rudolph, which are the three most reliable players that they have on that side of the ball, have all kind of really dialed down a level. So where I was wide receiver 1 status on Diggs, to me now he's a high to mid wide receiver 2. Thielen to me is a low end wide receiver 2. Kyle Rudolph is a tight end 2. Until they can get their quarterback situation consistent. I do not think that Case Keenum is going to continue to put up astronomical numbers like he did in his first game. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes for Bradford to get back. But does come back, all of those guys go right back up. Because with Bradford in that lineup as a duo, Thielen and Diggs are almost both wide receiver 1s, as far as the way that he loves looking for both of them, depending on the down distance and situation. Bradford is very underrated in his ability to read defenses and put the ball where it needs to be. He is an elitist game manager in the fact that he does what he can to keep the turnovers low, but his completion rate is phenomenal. He's rock solid as far as getting the ball out, getting the ball where it needs to be, and getting you those completions. If you're in leagues where you get bonuses for quarterback completion numbers as far as passes completed against passes attempts, stuff like that, he's always going to get you in a bonus category. He never really pushes the envelope as far as turnovers are concerned, so you're not going to get too many negatives in there. And while he's not going to go 40 touchdowns for you, he can get you between 20 and 25 when he's healthy, but there's still no definitive word on when he's going to come back. So until that is, all of those three guys that I mentioned before, Thielen, Diggs, Rudolph, they kind of take a step down. Do not get rid of them by any means, though, because the Vikings will bounce back like they always do. They'll make some noise. They'll be there when it's all said and done. And it's going to be a three-way dogfight in that division coming down to the finish line.
There we go. There we go. And then we're going to move on to the Carolina Panthers upsetting the Patriots, doing what you're supposed to do, and that's
Who?
keeping the ball away from Tom. Oh, we hitting with the who? We hitting with the who?
Carolina?
Who
Carolina?
that?
Who?
Who got that flame?
So,
Carolina.
who got that play in the background?
Carolina, you know what? I'm going to go
Is
ahead
that
and say
Yeah,
Carolina.
that's what I say. That's the
Okay.
team.
Well, I'll start with the Mr. 35 and counting.
Till he break his ankle.
You better watch your mouth, son. So I'm gonna go ahead and be quick with mine because I know we got 7 other games to get to, but I'm gonna be quick about it. Tom Brady, you can always lock him in for QB1 numbers like always. Yes, he threw the ball 45 times, had 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the thing about this game is the Carolina defense is something to reckon with, especially when they're playing at home. So Tom Brady numbers were a little bit skewed. He could have had 3 or 4 touchdowns, but it is what it is. Once again, I trust no running back unless your name is James White. And the only reason why I says that because guess what? James White got how many receptions did he have? 10 on how many targets? 12. And that's beautiful for PPR. You can lock him in for an RB2 all weeks, in my opinion. So another person I want to give some love to is Gronk. He's having a down year. If you want to trade for him, I would go ahead and trade for him because the schedule does lighten up a little bit and he will get a little bit more love. Hogan, the what is it? The great value Jordy Nelson. Yes, that is him. He
Great
is
value. Great value.
he's still running with them touchdowns. He's still getting a little bit of yardage. He's not getting a lot of catches, but guess what? He still is fantasy relevant. And I think his floor is at 10 points. Going forward and with the schedule that I see, I think he's safe to give you 10 points or better every week. So I would lock him in for let's throw him in a wide receiver 2 conversation. Honestly, I think he's moved out of that wide receiver 3 talk. And then also another person I want to talk about is that boy Brandon Cooks. I don't know what's going on over there. I don't know if it's this they still
this is what he do. This is how his career
He
goes.
has good games and he has bad games. What you need to do is you need to look for Brandon Cooks the later part of the year because that's usually when he turns it up. So we'll see if that still carries for his reputation. But going forward with confidence, I can only start James White, Tom Brady, Gronk, Hogan, and maybe flex Cook at this point because I'm not getting consistent numbers, so I never know when I'm gonna get that. So I can't put him in the wide receiver 2 conversation any longer right now. He was at that he was drafted as wide receiver 1. He fell down to wide receiver 2. He's down to wide receiver 3 or flex right now from what we're getting out of him. 3 for 38. That's not good.
And Superman returns.
Does he return?
Allegedly.
Yeah, he had a guest appearance.
To be continued.
Allegedly. Carolina. Oh man, where do I start?
Yeah, you be quick with them. Ooh, Lord.
At this point, literally, Cam Newton is a flex pick for me. I do not trust anything in their offense outside of McCaffrey, and he's a borderline flex / RB3 because they really can't quite figure out how they want to utilize him most effectively. They're like still in the tinkering phases. Let's try this game, and let's try that game. They really haven't gotten that defined role for him just yet, and it's causing his overall numbers to suffer because they're not putting him in one lane to see how he's going to pan out. So for me, he's pretty much a flex at this point. Cam is still stuck in the mystery machine with Scooby and Shaggy, so I don't know what the hell is going on with him. That's about it. That's about it.
That is funny.
Oh yeah. We don't know what Cam Newton we're gonna get week to week. But man, I don't know what damn New York Jets I'm gonna get week to week because I said they're gonna win no games, and these boys have won 2 more games than I suggested.
Shut your ass up, DeMarcus.
I think that the Jets and the Giants have switched uniforms this season.
They had to.
Odell with the Jets, man.
It's the wrong New York team with 0 wins. It's the team that we thought. I mean, at the rate it looks, we're all going to be geniuses because we said somebody from New York was going to have the top pick in the draft. We just thought it was going to be the Jets and not the Giants.
Boy, poor Eli. They gonna draft that quarterback. They get that first pick.
Oh yeah, Sam Darnold. Come on down.
Who y'all want to take, the Jets or the Jaguars on this one?
I'm gonna go ahead and take. Let me go ahead and take the Jets on their standpoint. I like how Josh McCown. He's always a good fill-in quarterback. With the bye weeks coming, man, I would confidently put him in my starting lineup because guess what? Josh McCown has saved me. I want to say 2 years in a row he has saved me with the Browns last year. I had to plug him in. He gave me 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the year before that, I think it's the game where he was with the Bears, I want to say, or it could have been 2 years ago where he filled in for Jay Cutler, and he had a 300-yard game and 4 touchdowns, and I think Alshon had like 2 of those. It was one of those breakout games.
Clutch game.
He is Shane Falco.
Yeah, he does. I don't know what
Falco, like for real.
You're right.
Like, dude, like you're not lying. Like he'll pop up at the most inopportune moments and he'll be a world beater, and you'll be like, holy shit, how did I get that?
Exactly.
Like he literally is. He's like the quick replacement for this week. Hey, McCown, suit up.
And he's playing. If any of your quarterbacks is on bye, if you have Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, go and get Josh McCown. He's playing the Browns this week, so that's enough. You know, that says enough in my opinion. You know, he's playing the Browns. Once again, he's playing the Browns. So Bilal Powell finally getting the workload that this man needs. This guy, when he showed many times without Forte, guess what? I am a good running back. Better yet, I'm a pretty damn good running back. And he showed it. The dude can catch, he can block, he can go between the tackles. The dude has it all. And I like the what I've seen from him. I can throw him honestly this week. He's in my top 10 running backs this week. Because I just like he's getting a lot of the work. He's on the field most of the time. And I'm loving Josh McCown this week. Other than that, I can't trust anybody else. Maybe Austin Seferian Jenkins. If you need a tight end, he does get in the targets. I think he's averaging 8 targets since he's been back. So if you need a tight end, you can take a flyer on him. But other than that, that's the only pieces that I want of the Jets offense.
All right, what's going down in Jagville?
Leonard Fournette.
Saxonville.
That's it, man. Little Fournette is killing it.
Leonard Fournette is doing a very good job. He's not trying to do too much, and I don't say that in a negative way. He's literally just, okay, this is my role, this is my responsibility, this is what I'm here to do. Let me try to go out, do it to the best of my ability, make plays when they're presented. He's not trying to do too much. He's not trying to put himself in a position to turn over the ball or be a detriment to the team. He's kind of just, carrying the load.
I feel like he already became a lunch pail guy, like this early. He
I mean,
he
but
come to work.
the funny thing though is we got distracted by so much talent that they had at the skill positions and so much that was made because it's in the middle of the SEC. But there's no point in time in his career where he wasn't a lunch pail guy. It was just a simple fact that he was just a bigger lunch pail guy playing against smaller people on defense in the SEC. So he didn't have
his lunch pail
that many hours to put in. Yeah, he didn't have that many hours to put in before his shift was up in college. Now, he's going the road a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm done for the day.
I gotta get ready for Sunday.
I already got my palate cleared. I'm good. But now, going through and the ineptitude of Blake Bortles is not helping his cause. People aren't buying that London game as the real Blake Bortles, so they're still going to key in and put
15
8 in the box,
like 20 incompletions. Are you fucking?
Yeah, I mean they're going to put 8 in the box, 9 in the box, and they're going to commit to Blake Bortles beating them, and that kind of stunts Fournette's growth as far as his ability to make big plays and stuff like that. But his future is bright. I trust him completely. I have him actually in a couple of my leagues, and he's never left my starting lineup. I think he's consistent right now. I think the consistency will grow when his quarterback play grows, because right now they're just not respecting the pass enough to give him those open looks, those abilities to make plays in space, which he can do surprisingly well for a guy his size. Outside of that, man, as I said before, and I guess I can officially make that my catchphrase, because just about everybody else on offense in Jacksonville is in the mystery machine with Scooby and Shaggy.
I like it.
I have nothing but question marks riddled all up and down that team. I don't trust anybody to start outside of a flex, outside of Leonard Fournette, who to me, I give the low RB1 status right now. I like him as a workhorse going forward, barring injury. I think that if Jacksonville got a little bit more creative with their play calling, if they can move the ball down the field more in the passing game, I think that in future years, it may not be this year, but I think in future years, we're going to see 15, 16 touchdown seasons from this kid. Like he's a grinder. Like he's that real deal. Any questions that anybody had about him, any questions that I had about him so far, he's proved all of them wrong. I have no doubts about this kid's ability to be a major player in the NFL right now. His future looks extremely bright.
100% agree. Yeah. Then we had the Steelers traveling to the Ravens, putting a whipping on them 26-9.
Battle of the fake ones.
Okay, we could be
Gold Bowl.
Ooh, we could be quick about this game, because I don't want to talk about this game too much. Because it's a Steelers fan over here. Better yet, I'm gonna play.
Do me a favor.
I'm gonna play narrator.
Griffin,
I'm playing narrator.
Griffin.
Huh?
No, Griff. Do me a favor.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the favor?
Go ahead and talk about the Steelers.
I'm not going to talk about the Steelers. I'm going to play narrator. What do you like with the Steelers?
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. I forgot. We got Don King for the Steelers over here.
Mr. DeMarcus, let's hear it. What do you like for the Steelers?
Well, first off, the fact that they gave their running back the ball damn near 40 times, I love it. I mean, this guy's one of the best players in football.
He's overrated.
Don't even.
He's trash. David Johnson, come back.
Hey, nah, bruh. No, number one running back. I told you. It's happening.
Whatever. By default.
Hey, it don't matter. It don't matter. It don't matter if it's a count out.
Gurley
Yeah,
about to
it-
pass him up anyway.
Gurley
It's all
don't
good.
Gurley
It don't
passing.
matter that Le'Veon Bell then came in with that steel chair and then took out David Johnson.
Oh, that boy, that shield break up.
So that's what hit David Johnson. That was Le'Veon Bell's spirit.
Le'Veon said that was best for business.
Hey, that's all. I mean, they giving my boy the ball. That's all I can say. Everything else gonna fall in place. Everything else gonna fall in place as long as they give him Le'Veon the ball.
I agree. And then Martavis Bryant, Martavis, yeah, Martavis Bryant is a wide receiver 3 when they're playing at home. Once again, he's a wide receiver when they're playing at home, only at home.
Is he?
Besides that, I can't trust him.
Leading receiver.
I don't trust that fool at all. I don't trust
Antonio Brown. Hey, if you are Antonio Brown owner, be happy because he bitched this weekend.
Oh, he
gonna get that rock. He gonna get that rock.
He
He's gonna get 16 targets, homie.
Oh,
he about to get 16 targets in the first half.
So you can be quick. Wilson, what do you like on the Baltimore Ravens side of the ball?
I don't. What's the next game?
All right, let's move on. You can't trust nobody on that team.
Oh no, they trash.
To the wide receiver, to the quarterback. I can't even trust their defense no more.
Bernie Mac. You don't understand.
Oh, let's move on quickly before
I
we
don't trust none of these motherfuckers.
49ers and the Cardinals went to overtime. That was one of the most ridiculous games I've seen.
I didn't mean to beatbox on y'all. That was a knee-jerk reaction. I'm sorry.
They all
that was the most ridiculous game I think I've.
I'm
gonna be honest with you. If you
what's up with the callback touchdowns? Like what was that?
Ellington had that touchdown. It's pitiful to see that. If you're Ellington owner, I am happy that this man is getting 14 targets from my quarterback. They're feeding him the ball. They're looking to give him the ball with a lot of their wide receiver positions being unsure with Jaron Brown and
Chris Johnson.
Nelson.
Chris Johnson.
He's dead, man. He's averaging like what 1.2 a carry. That's horrible. That's horrible.
Yeah, at this point, he's like CJ 20 because we.
Oh yeah, man. He's CJ 2020. That's when CJ 2017. That's when he needs to call it a wrap. This year he needs to retire.
To make me laugh.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Going forward, I kind of do trust Palmer because I'm liking what I'm seeing from Carson Palmer. Oh Lord, don't talk bad about him. The only reason why I'm happy,
if y'all want to know the truth, I dropped Ben Roethlisberger and picked up Carson Palmer.
And I'm gonna tell you why. Because Carson Palmer is doing what a la Tom Brady does, and a lot of these other wide receivers. A lot of these other quarterbacks. When you don't have a legit running game, you run through the air, and that's what he's doing. He's running the ball through the air. You don't have to worry about your running back anymore. That's why you can book Eli for at least 28 points if Eli plays like Eli's supposed to be playing, because they have no running game to take away from their productivity. And I trust Carson Palmer with the schedule of Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, and the Rams that he can give me at least a safe floor of maybe 1 to 2 touchdowns and at least 300 yards. And that's the only reason why I would trust him going.
It's a 300-yard bonus. That shit come in handy.
What happens when what happens when Carson Palmer is back there in the pocket and things start to collapse around him? He's like, you know what?
You know what's gonna happen. It's clock out time.
I can step up. I'm about to take this thing up for a couple of yards and slide, and he goes to plant, and both of his hamstrings pop.
See, what I like about Carson Palmer is that he's not running, and the thing is, he's getting the ball off quick. That's the only thing I like about Carson Palmer. I was so glad that he did not run.
Like he run a 4.6 or something.
I was glad he didn't run.
If Carson Palmer is sitting in the locker room pregame and somebody decides to play a practical joke and throw some firecrackers in the room and he gets started and try to run, he's going to blow both his hamstrings.
He's going to die like Darren Sproles.
Like, well, that's it for me.
But yeah, if
somebody call my wife.
A person that I want to be interested in and I want to show a little love to, that I know that he hasn't getting a lot of attention, is Jaron Brown, who's quietly, if you're in the PPR, he's starting to get like at least 10 targets a game.
Targets are there.
And if a man who's giving 10 to 11 targets and he's catching the majority of them, I like his number. Just last game, all he had was a quiet 8 catches for 105 yards. That is very impressive for that man right there. And guess who he's playing this week? He's playing my team. And what's the weakness on my team? The Eagles are secondary. So go ahead.
Clinton Dix, damn it. Why did y'all pass on him? Let the
man. Yeah, so start him up. Start him up for confidence. Start him up. I'm so confident in Brown this week. I would lock him in for a wide receiver 2 this week. That's how much confidence I have with him.
I like it.
Okay.
I like
Oh, and
Okay.
Ellington, I love him as a wide receiver 2 this week also.
Yeah, I'm feeling Ellen this week too.
Okay.
Anything reported in 49 land other than Brian Hoyer is so terrible.
He comes and goes.
You know what?
He goes
For the 49ers, I have
The high dog.
Garcon as a low to mid wide receiver 2. I have Carlos Hyde as a low running back 2. Um, that's about it as far as anything with any kind of consistency. I think that there'll be some folks that may be able to get their shot off a little bit. Playing against the Colts coming up. Somewhat of a favorable matchup. The Colts defense isn't all that great, but they're not all that terrible either. So it's kind of like a coin toss. Two most viable, by a mile on Frisco is going to be Garcon and Hyde. Everybody else is pretty much a coin toss, or if you're caught up in either bye week hell or injury prison, that'd be the only other reason why I go for anybody else from San Francisco.
I like it.
Wait a minute, I take that back. For my IDPers out there, just an FYI, Brinston Buckner and Solomon Thomas, because it's usually the hardest place to get points in IDP leagues is from D-line. Yeah, those guys are winning. I've gotten double-digit point totals from Buckner in 2 or 3 games. I've gotten it out of Thomas in 2 games. Every little bit helps for folks to play in those IDP leagues and to be able to see a good 10 or 12 points out of your D lineman. Trust me, it brightens up everybody's day.
And they freeing it up for Rayway and Navarro back there. So
Yeah, buddy.
they
It's a
doing
trickle down effect.
Yeah, they doing their thing. And then we had the Eagles pull one out on the sad ass Chargers. Oh,
Hey, my two teams.
Eagles,
Hey,
fly.
my 2 favorite teams played each other. It was very interesting. Very, very,
Fly,
very
Eagles,
interesting.
fly. Fly, Eagles, fly. Fly.
Let me. Hey. You watch it.
I'm
That's
sorry.
3-1 division leading Eagles.
Yes, sir.
You show
I
respect,
apologize.
boy.
I'm sorry.
You show some respect, boy.
Yes, sir. I apologize. I don't want no problem.
But let me talk about the Eagles right quick, and I want to give some love to LeGarrette Blount because I thought he was dead. I thought he was dead in the water.
He was
I thought it was over.
Milk carton.
And LeGarrette Blount said, "Hello, pass me the blunt and light it up because I'm about to get going."
Man,
he was smoking.
This
roll
dude
that
was
shit,
smoking.
light that shit, smoke it.
He was smoking all over the Chargers, and I did not see that coming. And I am trusting him as an RB2 going forward because he is getting the work. And Smallwood also is an interesting RB2 flex in PPR leagues because he's starting to get a lot of that Darren Sproles roles, but he's starting to look a little bit sprier than Darren Sproles did look.
He's the Lamar Miller for that team.
And I know Wentz didn't have the greatest of games, but I can lock him as a QB2 going forward. I know that it seems like they're going to start going with more run heavy and more of a balanced offense, so they're going to rely solely on Wentz. But I think they're going to play
attempts.
That's something impressive. And there's only one player to talk about on the Eagles side of the ball that should be addressed every time we talk about the Eagles, and that's one Zachary Ertz, who is the number 1 fantasy tight end in the league
3,
as we speak right now.
Zachary
Ertz is killing it. Top 3
Z.
That dude is killing it.
Has he done his steroid test yet?
Oh no, I hope they don't.
Hey,
I hope they don't pull up on him. I hope they don't pull up on him right quick on that one because he might be out of here.
Let me get my banana and my wig real quick so I can do this like Belly. I don't like that Ertz dude. I might drop a dime on him. I might drop it. I don't like that shit.
And if you need it, and if you have wide receiver troubles and you're struggling, I would not. If I were you, I would take a flyer on trying to target Alshon Jeffrey. I know a lot of people are down on him, but going forward, I feel like he is their number 1 wide receiver, and it's going to start looking better for him. It's going to start looking better for him. For the simple fact is, you have the running game going. And when you have that running game going, there's one thing that I love to scream out, and that's that play action. And you know who thrives in play action? He showed it in Chicago, and it's Alshon Jeffrey. Y'all be on the lookout for that.
There we go. I love it.
And that's it on my side of the ball. Wilson, you don't want to chart the Chargers? You mean get the Chargers?
You know what? Because this is actually the Griffin Bowl. You can take it.
Okay, yeah, look at that respect. The Griffin Bowl. It was the battle between I was hating myself. I was talking shit to myself. I said, "Fuck your Chargers, no, fuck your Eagles." In the locker room,
He got too weird.
Gonna go nowhere.
The half paint, the half jersey.
You know what I'm saying?
I said, look, I'm sitting on the couch talking shit. I said, that's why they didn't gonna miss that field goal kick. Oh, look at that shit. Fuck your team. Once again, y'all suck.
Like who is a Wrenchverse? Who
yeah,
that
that dude right there, man. What a kick. What a kick.
That guy.
But yeah, I'm gonna give some love to the only person that deserves the love on this team, and that's one Keenan Allen, who's holding it down once again on 11 targets. He only caught 5, and that's because Phillip Rivers overthrew him on a few of those. But Keenan Allen, you can lock him in for wide receiver 1 numbers on a weekly basis, in my opinion, because he's getting the targets and he's actually doing something that Dez Bryant is not doing, catching the ball and being productive.
You mean separating?
Oh, that's the key.
Getting open?
That is the key. You know what? Dez needs to sit down and watch a game of Keenan Allen and how he moves around and say, you know what? I need to try that out. Or better yet, I should look at Tyrell Williams and how he separates. And let me try that too. Both of them get my golden star this week. Tyrell Williams and Keenan Allen, they're holding down for that offense. I would set Keenan Allen up for wide receiver 1 week in, week out. I just like the production. Tyrell Williams, I don't know who I can trust as the second person in the offense with Mike Williams coming back, but Tyrell Williams, I'm going to ride that wave going forward. Melvin Gordon is a buy low candidate for some people. Me personally, I don't like the Chargers offensive line, and he's not getting the receptions right now. So when Mike Williams comes back, I think his reception totals will go down even lower. And Hunter Henry, shit, I don't know where you at in the offense. Like, you were looking like Zach Ertz's brother the end of last year, and now you're looking like his third distant relative cousin. We can't see you. We can't find you on the field. I don't know what's going on.
That's like parade.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but he's not getting no love. And going forward, only people I can trust and I can lock in and week out is Keenan Allen and maybe Tyrell Williams as a flex. But Phillip Rivers needs to show me more. In personally, I expect more from Phillip Rivers. I know he gave you 347 yards and 2 touchdowns, but I expect more for you. And that you keep losing like this, you need to take over. You need to go talk to your coach and say, you know what? I need to get some help. We need to start changing some stuff up. Something needs to happen. A checkup needs to happen. I don't know if you need to fire the offensive coordinator or what. Y'all need to get something going because they look horrible. And Phillip Rivers looks really bad because he's overthrowing his wide receivers, which I hate. There's no reason why you should be 16. What do you have? 16 incompletions? Come on, dog. Come on, Phillip Rivers. You too old for that, man.
Come on, man.
Yeah, he gets the come on, man.
But then you still got the quarterback that he was traded for, Eli Manning, 0-4 over there, taking on those Tampa Bay Bucks.
But is that Eli's fault?
No, it's not. It's the defense. It's not the defense. It's McAdoo, honestly, in my opinion.
Yes.
Play calling. It's play calling.
Good call.
It's McAdoo because the play calling does not favor. Eli is actually being productive in what he's doing. It's just he's not getting help from nothing else. This Gillen, what's his name? Wayne Gallman. Oh, Gallman. That dude right there, he looks like the real deal from what I saw on Sunday and what I saw how he looked against the Bucks, who I believe have a good run defense because they kind of shut down Cooks for a while. I am interested in seeing how he is. If they can get
he's a body. He's like a Michael Pittman type of running back. Not gonna get nothing explosive. He's gonna come up, do his job, and go home.
That's all I need. That's all they need. That's all they need.
Disrespect Michael Pittman like that?
Hey, come on. Michael Pittman wasn't no elite back.
You just gonna disrespect Michael Pittman like that?
Michael Pittman. It was Antoine.
Michael Pittman looks like Eric Dickerson compared to that.
Ooh,
wow. Disrespect Michael Pittman like that. Shouts out to my man Michael Pittman if you're listening. Shouts out.
Y'all take that. Y'all can take this game. I want to hear both of y'all takes on both of these teams, honestly.
Who you want to take, DeMarcus?
Man, I'll go with the Bucks. I mean, they bounced back big time. Jameis actually showed that he can play NFL quarterback. I mean, he looked productive in the pocket. He was looking for all his top targets. Of course, Mike Evans, he gonna eat every week. Like I said, the long play to Howard, you can't trust that every week. He did have 4 targets, but Cameron Brate's the guy. I mean, in the middle, Cameron Brate, Adam Humphries, those is 2 guys. They look like they spreading out the running game. I know Jaquiz has 16 carries, but they still have Peyton Barber in there doing work. They still trust Charlie Sims every now and then. So this is a full blown committee. Even though he has 16 carries, that's what was required to win this game. But I expect going forward they're going to have about a 3-way split going forward. But I think Jameis Winston is here, and I don't expect him to fall out the top 10 anytime soon.
Fair enough. Fair enough for the Giants. Um, Eli is gonna be Eli for better or for worse. Um, I do not have any faith at all in any component of their running game whatsoever. Uh, Odell is, I guess, gonna be Odell. Even that's in question at this point. That's kind of sad. Because right now their best receiver is my man Sterling Shepard. He seems to be the only consistent offensive weapon that they have at this point. It'll be interesting to see how it goes moving forward, but into the wide receiver 3 category, borderline wide receiver 2, based on his production and number of targets and the way that they're playing right now. Uh, OBJ is still a wide receiver 1, just off sheer potential for explosive plays and ability to kind of turn things on its ear at the drop of a dime. Manning is a low end QB2 at this point. Everybody else to me is a flex, including Evan Ingram. If you're desperate and you just like drew the short straw, then I guess you could pick New York Giants running back to do something with on your fantasy team. But other than that, there's really not much to speak of over there. It would be a good point to be able to say at least that you could, in a standard league, pick up the Giants defense and be able to do something. But unfortunately, they're on the field so much that they lose the war of attrition, and what is actually a pretty good defense ends up looking pretty mediocre because they get worn down too much because of the offense's inability to stay on the field for extended periods of time. So to the Giants, not really much there in the cupboard, but they got a few tempting morsels that you could choose from, but it's so hit or miss for them right now. They're in such turmoil, and it's not getting any better because now you have defensive players on Twitter low key throwing shade at the offense and their frustration with losing all the time. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out in the locker room and stuff like that. But it doesn't look like it's going to get any better for the Giants anytime soon.
See, I like DeMarcus' take on some of these teams, so I'm going to let him finish this out. We're going to knock these 3 teams out real quick. We're going to start with the Raiders, who lost a quarterback this week, and they lost to them good old Broncos that are 3-1. That's climbing up the chart a little bit. Which one of y'all want to take? Who wants to take what?
Man, I'm gonna go with the Broncos on this one because
Go for it, son.
It's that defense that's sticking out. I mean, if you got plays like this, it really don't matter what the hell you want to do on offense. I mean, they clearly gonna feed C.J. Anderson. The biggest problem I have with Jamal Charles is sticking out. I mean, they just don't want to give him the ball over 10 times. I mean, this week he only touched it 6 times. So C.J. Anderson's the guy.
You said Jamal Charles, or you said Adrian Peterson?
Ooh.
I couldn't hear.
Oh my God, it's pretty much the same person, but at least Jamal Charles can pop off for 5 yards a carry. If it's anything,
exactly.
If it's anything he can do, he gonna get you that 5-yard carry. So I trust the Denver backfield a lot more. C.J. Anderson is the guy. If he was to go down, I think it'll be Devontae Booker's job. I mean, that's just how I look at the pecking order because you got to preserve Jamal Charles for the rest of the season. He's a long-term plan. He don't need 20 carries right now. You need him to break one in December or January if you get there. But I like the way this defense playing. The receivers is just hard to know which one to start because you don't know who's going to be the hot one each week. So I really wouldn't buy high on the receivers, but C.J. Anderson is clearly the guy, and that's the guy that I like in his backfield.
Indeed.
How you feeling in Raider line, man?
Oh man, it's a weird season.
It's gloom. It's dark and it's gloom over there.
It's a really weird season. Unfortunately, at this point and at this juncture of the season, and based on how they performed and what they'll have to go through moving forward, there's nobody on the Raiders team that I would consider anything more than a flex at any position. Not one.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see that 100%.
I want to root hard for Amari Cooper, but he keeps dropping the ball. Um, I want to root hard for a Marshawn Lynch, but they are not a running team. Uh, I want to root hard for Jared Cook, but he seems to want to do his best Martellus Bennett impersonations. So
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I heard that shot
dare
fire.
dare I say it, I guess the Oakland Raiders are also in the mystery machine with Shaggy and Scooby.
Oh yeah, they stuck in there. As long as Derek Carr is
Bro,
out,
what,
they
what,
Man,
what, was, what was Marquette King doing on that that fake punt? Can anybody?
looking
man,
like a fool. Looking like
bro.
a dumb fool.
Somebody told you one too many times that no. You're not just a punter, babe. You're an athlete.
No,
Wrong.
no, no. You're a punter and stick to it.
Wrong. This Rick James we talk. No. This Marquette King we talking about, man.
Well, another. These people look like fools. The whole team looked like fools on Sunday. Let's talk about these Colts and these Seahawks. Man, Russell Wilson like he's in form, and the other side of the ball look foolish. Which one of y'all want? Who wants who?
I'll take Indy. I'll take Indy because
Go
they
for it.
they in a lot of turmoil. I mean, nothing looked good, but we talking about Seattle at home. It got loud a couple times. It got super loud out there. The only thing to look forward to right now, I'd buy low on all Colts, and that's from
Mhm.
Frank Gore, that's Moncrief, that's Hilton. Back to back
The
weeks.
immortal Frank Gore.
Man, I don't know how Frank Gore keeps doing it, but I am impressed that he led the team in receiving with 34 yards.
I'm not surprised that anything. If Frank Gore
Embarrassing.
went and had a
Man,
200-yard game next week, that's Frank Gore.
man, I'm a
This what he do.
hardcore Hurricane hater, Seminole fan to the day that I die. I have nothing but the utmost Frank Gore because, like you said, I literally do not know how this man does it year in and year out.
Mhm.
He wasn't technically supposed to have an NFL career, period,
At
because he had
all.
already been hurt 2 or 3
Mhm.
times before he
He was,
even
he was
got
one
to
of
the
the
league.
worst prospects coming into that draft when he
Him and
came out.
him and Vernon
Like
Davis,
he
they
had the
keeping it
injury
rolling.
bug. He had the injury bug like rolling on him, like it was a stamped albatross on his back coming into the league. And he came in, and a decade plus later, killing it, still outworking these young guys, still being a good example of how to be a pro's pro in this league. Didn't mean to harp, but just had to give that acknowledgement, tip of the cap to, like I said, the immortal Frank Gore.
I
Yeah,
like
but
what DeMarcus said about buying low on the Colts because guess
yeah,
what,
because
Mister Luck, he
you look
Why?
at
practiced.
Why
you look
would
at
you buy
everything they
high?
have, look at everything they have, and just double it. I mean,
No, I'm just
Yeah,
like
why would you buy high?
a lot of people don't know that Luck is practicing this week.
yeah,
So if you want to buy
Yeah.
low, because guess what, when Andrew Luck comes back, I'm pretty sure he's gonna be rusty, so they're gonna look even worse. So I
Yeah,
love
it'll
that
take a couple
value.
of weeks, but eventually he's gonna be Andrew Luck.
Yes, sir.
And
when
And
when
it's
play
gonna be
when playoff time kick up, they gonna be playing
Ty
for something,
Moncrief.
and they
exactly.
not gonna be sitting down like a Aaron Rodgers, like a Ben Roethlisberger, like a Tom
Oh,
Brady.
Aaron's
They
not
gonna
gonna be sitting, sir.
Okay. Well, insider knowledge.
They division is too good.
Yeah,
Aaron's not gonna be
I
sitting.
agree.
Trust me, they'll be in a dog fight. Aaron's not gonna be sitting.
So for the Seattle standpoint, go ahead and break it down, Wilson, or you want DeMarcus to get it?
Uh, I'll take it. It'll be brief.
Okay, go for it.
Good to see Russell bounce back into form, making plays, arms and legs. They had a little bit of fire in their belly, getting back home. Sometimes, the one thing you need is that good old pat on the back from the 12th man and some home cooking to kind
Mm-hmm.
of get you back focused. Uh, Russell looked good. That being said, much as I am about certain teams, Packers being one of them, only person I really trust on the team from a fantasy standpoint is Russell.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else is pretty much a toss up. Uh, Standard people, Seattle is still rock solid as a team defense. Don't get it twisted.
I agree because they was having a turnover fest on
Oh
Sunday.
yeah, they still, with all the turmoil that they've had, with all of the hoopla and all the stuff that's been going on with them being up and down and stuff like that, defense still only giving up 18 points a game.
And then from that backfield, I know they lost Chris Carson, Eddie Lacy, Thomas Rawls, McKissick, and also CJ Prosise. We don't know what to make of this backfield. So I want to give it.
Somebody check the mystery machine.
Yeah, throw them in there. Throw them in there.
I think they're having Scooby snacks and sandwiches.
Yeah, they're out there, and I don't know what Jimmy Graham is doing. He's having decent numbers, but not numbers that I need for my tight end. If you're in a PPR, he's averaging like 10 points a game.
Yeah,
so I guess
PPR, he's doing okay.
It's okay.
I mean, he's a tight end too. He's a tight end too at this point. But doesn't seem to have any kind of upside as far as me seeing it getting any better for him at this point. And that's frustrating because we all obviously know what Jimmy Graham can bring to the table when he's involved in the passing game. So it's kind of like, yo, man, hey,
pass to him.
Y'all play that smash mouth. I mean, and it's like football logic. Like in a smash mouth team, in a smash mouth sense, when you have teams that are like that, it's usually the tight end is the one that mainly eats. We see it in Buffalo with Charles Clay.
Oh, and guess what? And we keep going. What you said?
It's just one of those things that it's like frustrating because you would think almost by nature of the way that they want to play that run first smash mouth football that Jimmy Graham would be involved more and he would be able to eat because most of the time in smash mouth offenses, the tight end is one of the biggest eaters.
And you see why, and I love it how you just said that because it paved the way. It opened the door. It punched it wide open for us to talk about the last game, and that's Monday night's tight ends that threw down, and that's Travis Kelce as the real tight end of the Redskins, and that's Mr. Vernon Ageless Davis. He held it down. Dude got speed, still got it.
Anybody seen Jordan anywhere? Anybody?
Jordan Reed needs to go sit down.
Y'all see Jordan anywhere? Anybody?
Vernon Davis
got on the bus.
Vernon Davis had 2 catches, 89 yards. Travis Kelce came through with the 7 receptions, 111 yards, 1 touchdown, and no shovel passes this week.
Exactly, man. I'm gonna take the Redskins on this one because man, Kirk Cousins wanted to win.
He wanted to.
If you get a quarterback like that, this dude won me a game off his rushing performance. Like literally, that last drive when he started rushing that rock, I won a game off of it. So
that's beautiful.
You get a quarterback like that if a quarterback gets you just 25 yards rushing, that's 2.5 yards. That's damn near half a touchdown. That's more than half touchdown in standard leagues if they're just doing a 4 points. So hey, that's winning right there. I mean, I really don't trust anybody else because we've seen week to week is either Josh Dotson, it's Thompson, it's Terrell Pryor. We don't know who it is, but we know for sure that Kirk Cousins is going to be there every week. So that's the only person I trust right now. I mean, you can't even trust Jamison Crowder. I mean, negative point this week.
Yeah, you can't even trust Chris Thompson because look what happened to him. If you bank big on him and you betted big on him, guess what? He let you down this week.
Oh, big time. I think he only broke even because he had a fumble.
Oh, that's so sad, so sad, so sad. But what you got on Wilson on for the Kansas City team, the 4-0 Kansas City Chiefs with the Alex Smith throwing 293 yards and a touchdown.
Well, in honor of them being 4-0, I will give you their only 4 points. First and foremost, for all my standard people, their defense. Rock solid. Second point, not lighting the world on fire, but definitely one of the most consistent performers and for real life MVP, Mr. Alex Smith.
Yes, sir.
2 things is always good with Alex Smith. Number 1, when you give him in a point where he has some weapons to work with, but 2, when he feels like he has heat on his neck from somebody that's trying to replace him, Alex Smith always plays really well. When he had Kaepernick breathing down his neck, he was showing his ass in San Francisco. Everybody started out this preseason with this Mahomes talk. Alex Smith has shut them all up. Really solid season from the guy. He's really doing really rock solid production. He's a high end QB1, depending on the format that you play in. Kelce, king of the shovel pass, rock solid guarantee. Him and Ertz, for the most part, are the only 2 tight ends that I can completely trust blindly week in and week out to start without question.
You can't trust Clay yet?
Not yet. Just for the simple fact that it's not a thing of Clay's ability or that per se. I just think that they kind of ebb and flow in how much they choose to get him involved and set the tone with him on offense. And it's kind of different with the way that they do Ertz and Kelce. With Ertz and Kelce, that's part of them establishing the offense. They go through and they get them touches early and let them know, hey, Get used to this, homeboy. Where your linebackers at? Where your safety at? Yeah, y'all about to work all day. It's not the same way with Buffalo. With Buffalo, they're still going to try out the traditional way, and they're going to get the backs involved with McCoy. They're going to get the receivers involved for whatever they can. And once that stops working, then they go to Clay. That's the only reason why I don't have him in that must start complete faith, because I don't think that the team has that kind of outlook with him. Now, if they start pressing the issue and my man start getting that 8, 9, 10 targets a game, oh yeah, Clay's right there.
So what's your other 2 points for the Kansas City Chiefs?
Only 1 point left. Kelsey was my third
one.
point. My fourth point, of course, is the most obvious, and that's that young man rumble that Marcus was such a fan of from day one, and that would be Kareem Hunt.
He looks
It
good.
doesn't have to always be flashy. It doesn't always have to be big splash plays. At the end of the day, though, them numbers are still there.
Yep, 21 carries for 101 yards.
Yeah, still knocking it down, still getting those yards inside, outside, passing game. He's a complete back, and he's going through and he's showing you that complete skill set. And the best part about it is he's functioning in a team where, although they know that at this point, if they needed to, they could, they're still not overworking him. They're still not putting it all on him. And that's really good for him as a young guy, and that's really good for that offense to kind of maintain its diversity. And you still have to keep everything honest. You can't just key in on saying, "Oh, we're going to stop Hunt because Alex Smith can't beat us." Well, no, you do that shit, and Alex Smith is probably going to beat you, and on vice versa. Oh, we're just going to shut down Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, and Smith. They can't do nothing else. Well, Hunt just popped off for 160 on you. Congratulations. They have that pick your poison kind of offense. It's not that jump out at you. Dare I say it, it's like a Tim Duncan-esque type of offense. You never really notice how much they're doing until it's like middle of the third quarter. You're like, how many points they got? How many fucking yards did they get? Are you kidding?
Yeah,
it's just one of those kinds of things. It just kind of pops up at you, and it's like, well, yeah, they look decent, and then you look at the numbers, you're like, damn, they got that many yards? It's just one of those kinds of things. But it's one of those things that you can sucker somebody for some talent from Kansas City if they're not paying attention when it comes to these fantasy leagues.
Yep, I agree with that. And Tyreek Hill is holding it down too. I know he didn't have the greatest game, but that dude is getting worked in on all facets of the game.
They're trying to keep it fresh to make sure that they get them involved as much as possible, because you knew coming into this year they were going to key on him because they didn't want to give up the big plays. But out there's more people that can give them big plays, so it's still pick your poison.
Yep. Then there you go, DeMarcus. Thank you for letting me have the calm.
Oh, no problem at all. No problem at all, sir. And that has been the Week 4 recap. And we're going to be coming to y'all pretty soon with the Week 5 preview. We're going to get all that out to you guys. But, man, make sure y'all hop on those waiver wires tonight. It's gonna be a big day. It's a lot of the free agents out there. So if you lost Dalvin Cook, you're going to have to re-up. You better go out there and put in something for Latavius Murray. I mean, he may not be the sexiest pick, but hey, that's all you really got right now.
If you lost Chris Carson after you already lost David Johnson, I feel your pain, but you just got to go back, hit it again.
Keep fighting.
Heartbreak Hotel. That's how fantasy football goes, man. Y'all's gonna have one reservation somewhere.
Yes, sir.
Got to see which league it's gonna be in.
Whitney said it best.
Well, man, you stupid. Anything y'all want to say before we get out? I'm done.
Nothing. It's nothing to report. Basketball season is coming, so Fish and Grits, the regular podcast, is about to start popping back off, and we switching a couple of things up. Staying hip, staying in tune with the people.
Gonna see how these Yankees doing once we close this out. Hopefully they're doing something.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to be disappointed. It started out, they ran out Luis Severino in the first inning. They bombed him for 2 home runs and 3 runs in the first inning.
Well, good luck, Indians. Good luck.
Oh, but don't worry about that, because the Yankees have outscored them 7-1 since. It's 7-4. Bronx Bombers are in the building because they came back with 3 runs on 2 home runs in the bottom of the first to tie it up. There's no quitting these boys. It's the top of the 6th inning.
There you go.
Let me catch the rest of this game. But as for now, this has been Fish and Grits, and you guys have just been served.
Y'all enjoy.
Peace.